Chapter 1197. Everyone nodded. So that was how it was. As for the geniuses of the Divine Wilderness continent, they were secretly shocked. There were actually a total of 42 continents around the Divine Wilderness continent. The vast Divine Wilderness continent was actually just one of them. It was truly shocking. It was said that there were many such continents in the entire Yuan realm. It was simply impossible to count. No one knew how big the Yuan realm was. Alright, I'll tell you all this first. As for the details of the celestial sect's selection of disciples, I'll tell you all when the 9 continents gather. Now, we need to fly into the southern divine palace. After the black-robed man finished speaking, he stepped out and flew out of the sea-crossing ship. Mu Feng Yi Chuan and some other people from the Divine Wilderness continent, including Lu Ming and the rest, flew out to look at the sea-crossing ship. Then the sea-crossing ship turned around and flew in another direction. They stepped into the air and flew towards the southern divine palace. The ancient city in front of them belonged to the southern divine palace. It was very vast and there were countless people living inside. When the powerhouses guarding the ancient city saw the black-robed man, they bowed respectfully. They entered the ancient city without any obstructions. The ancient city was really huge. It was like a small world inside with mountains and lakes. Soon everyone landed on a square. Wait here for a while. Soon someone will arrange your accommodations. The black-robed man said, then rose into the air and disappeared. Beside him, Mu Feng's face was cold. He took out a voice transmission jade talisman and sent a message. Then a cold smile appeared on his face. Soon 2 middle-aged burly men flew over and landed in front of Lu Ming and the rest. You must be the prodigies from the Divine Wilderness continent. Come with us. We'll arrange your accommodations. After saying that, they rose into the air. Lu Ming and the rest followed. Not far from the square there were 2 mountain peaks. The 2 mountain peaks were connected. There were 2 peaks, one tall and one short. They were like brothers. From afar, one could see that there were courtyards built on both mountain peaks. The 2 burly men led them and flew towards the tall mountain peak. Soon they landed on the mountain peak. The mountain peak was filled with rich spiritual qi and origin qi. Ancient trees towered into the sky, and there were spiritual beasts running around. The environment was very good. Some courtyards were built in the forest. This mountain is called the General's Peak, and that short mountain is called the Soldier's Peak. It's as if the soldiers are paying their respects to the general. A muscular man casually introduced. Lu Ming and the others looked over. Indeed, that short mountain peak was like a soldier greeting a general. From their side they could overlook the Soldier Peak. You can choose any courtyard to stay in here. Alright, we've brought you the location. Let's go. A brawny man said. Then the 2 brawny men left the place. My hair, this little monk will choose this courtyard. Junior sister Wuxia, do you want to stay with me? Monk Wuliang chanted the name of Buddha and walked towards a courtyard. Before he left, he glanced at Moonless and asked. Moonless ignored Monk Wuliang and found another courtyard to enter. There were many courtyards here and they could choose as they pleased. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing strolled around for a while. They chose a courtyard near the cliff and walked in. The courtyard was elegant, and there were several rooms that could accommodate several people. Moreover, the environment was elegant, so the 2 of them were quite satisfied. Time passed quickly, and it had been 3 days since Lu Ming and the others arrived at Southern God Palace. On this day, another spaceship arrived outside the ancient city. A group of people flew out of it. Is this the Southern God Palace of the Godly Ruins continent? Among the crowd there were more than a dozen youths. Their eyes lit up as they looked at the ancient city in front of them excitedly. After that, they flew into the ancient city like Lu Ming and the others and landed on the square. Soon a young man and a brawny man flew over. That young man was Mu Feng. Friends from the Godly Crocodile continent, your accommodations have been arranged. Follow us. Mu Feng said. The sky prides of the Godly Crocodile continent nodded. There were a total of 15 of them. They followed Mu Feng and the brawny man and flew in a direction. They were heading towards the direction where Lu Ming and the others were staying. However, they did not arrive at the General's Peak, but at the Soldier's Peak. They landed on the Soldier's Peak. Brother Mu, I think the scenery on that peak is better. Can we stay on that peak? A young man from the Godly Crocodile continent looked up at the General's Peak and asked. Brother Crocodile, I'm sorry. That peak is already occupied by a continent. Mu Feng said with a smile. Occupied by a continent? Which continent? Not only that young man, but the other young men from the Godly Crocodile continent were also shocked. The Soldier's Peak was obviously shorter than the General's Peak. They had to look up and it made them uncomfortable. It's the people from the godly wilderness continent. The peak where the people from the godly wilderness continent live is called the General's Peak. This peak is called the Soldier's Peak. Mu Feng explained. General's Peak? Soldier's Peak? Ridiculous. Why should the people from the godly wilderness continent live on the General's Peak and we live on the Soldier's Peak? What right does the godly wilderness continent have to live on the General's Peak? I've heard of the godly wilderness continent. Legend has it that in ancient times, the godly wilderness continent was ranked far behind our godly crocodile continent. What right do they have to live there? Mu Feng's words made the sky prides of the godly crocodile continent furious. The General's Peak and the Soldier's Peak were obvious. Didn't that mean that the godly crocodile continent were the soldiers and the godly wilderness continent were the generals? How preposterous. Everyone, this is the arrangement of the Elder of Southern God Palace. Maybe the Elder thinks that the sky prides from the godly wilderness continent are stronger? However, in Southern God Palace, everything is based on strength. Those who are stronger will naturally be able to live in a better place. Alright everyone, you can stay here. I'll take my leave first. After Mu Feng finished speaking, he turned and flew away with the middle-aged man. Mu Feng's lips curled into a smug smile. Godly wilderness continent, aren't you very powerful? Then I'll let you have a taste of the power of the godly crocodile continent's sky prides. Mu Feng sneered. That's right. Mu Feng had arranged the accommodations through his connections. It wasn't too difficult to arrange the accommodations. He had purposely arranged for the godly wilderness continent to live on the General's Peak and the godly crocodile continent, a relatively strong continent, to live on the Soldier's Peak. It was to provoke the conflict between the two continents. If the godly wilderness continent didn't let him off, he wouldn't let them off either. After Mu Feng left, the sky prides of the godly crocodile continent shouted. Just now, Mu Feng said that in Southern God Palace, everything is based on strength. How dare the godly wilderness continent live on top of our godly crocodile continent? What right do they have? Since it's based on strength, then get the people from the godly wilderness continent down here. The General's Peak is ours. Who's going to attack first? I'll go. I alone am enough to deal with the godly wilderness continent. Chapter 1198. For the past 3 days, Lu Ming had been cultivating in seclusion, comprehending the will of heaven and earth and comprehending martial skills. The cultivation environment of the Divine Ruins continent was indeed better than the Divine Wilderness continent. He felt that it was easier to cultivate here than on the Divine Wilderness continent. Suddenly, a violent roar came from outside. Lu Ming opened his eyes in surprise. There were people fighting outside, but who was fighting here? Lu Ming got up, opened the door and walked out. When he saw Xian Yanqing walking out of his room, both of them were surprised. When they walked out of the courtyard, they saw that the sky not far away was filled with dazzling light and energy. Some people were watching from the sky. Monk Wuliang Yang Patian, Underworld Child, Tuoba Shi, and the others were all there. On the other side there were more than a dozen unknown young men. Lu Ming looked at the battlefield. It was Shi Du fighting with a young man in scaled armor. At this moment, Shi Du had already transformed into his original form. He was a majestic golden lion. His entire body was dazzling with golden flames dancing around him. Shi Du was stronger than when he was in the Holy City. His cultivation had also broken through to the 3rd level of the Spirit God realm. With a long roar, heaven and earth shook, and the mountains trembled. However, Shi Du was completely at a disadvantage at this moment. The young man in scaled armor was obviously much stronger than Shi Du. His punches made Shi Du tumble in the air. What a majestic lion. Not bad, quite mighty. What do you think? Be my mount in the future and follow me to eat and drink well. The young man in scaled armor mocked, making Shi Du even more furious. His roar shook the sky. Swoosh, swoosh. In the distance, a figure flashed and flew towards them. Obviously they were alarmed by the battle here. Many of them were young men. Lu Ming guessed that they might be geniuses from other continents or Southern God Palace's own geniuses. Hee, they're really fighting. Mu Feng sneered in the crowd. He hadn't gone far when he heard the commotion and rushed back to watch the show. Which 2 continents are these geniuses from? Someone asked. The Divine Wilderness continent and the Divine Crocodile continent. Mu Feng replied. Oh, so it's these 2 continents. In ancient times, the Divine Alligator continent's ranking has always been very high. At its peak, it even made it into the top 10. On the other hand, the Divine Wilderness continent's ranking has always been below average. I wonder how it is now. I heard that the Divine Crocodile continent is very powerful. Although they might not be able to enter the top 10, they are not too weak. Most of the geniuses of the Divine Barren Continent are no match for them. That lion of the Divine Wilderness Continent is about to be defeated. The surrounding onlookers were discussing animatedly. Tuoba Shi, what happened? Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing came to Tuoba Shi's side and asked. General Lu, they are from the Godly Crocodile Continent. Originally they were assigned to the Soldier's Peak. Now they want to drive us to the Soldier's Peak. They are living in the General's Peak. Tuoba Shi explained. With just one sentence Lu Ming understood. The General Peak was high and mighty, overlooking the Soldier Peak. The sky prides of the Godly Crocodile Continent were proud and arrogant. How could they be looked down upon by the sky prides of other continents? Boom. In the sky, Shirdo roared madly. However, it was useless. The difference in their combat strength was too great. Shirdo's cultivation was at the 3rd level of the Spirit God realm. However, his opponent's cultivation was at the peak of the 4th level of the Spirit God realm. The difference was too great. Moreover, without a doubt, those who were able to participate in the Heavenly God sect selection must have awakened a 9th level divine bloodline. Bam. After exchanging a few more blows, Shirdo spat out a mouthful of blood and fell heavily on the ground of the General's Peak. You want to participate in the Yuanlu sect's selection with such strength? You are overestimating yourself. The scaled youth stood in the sky and looked down at Shirdo. Shirdo roared. He was extremely sullen. However, he was not as strong as his opponent. The other people of the Divine Wilderness Continent did not look too good either. After all, they were all from the Divine Wilderness Continent. No matter what kind of conflicts they had on the Divine Wilderness Continent, they were all on the same side in the Divine Ruins Continent. The scaled youth's eyes were cold and arrogant. He continued to stare at Shirdo and said, "What do you think? Be my mount." "In your dreams." Shirdo roared. "Then I will beat you until you become my mount." Haha, there is also a peacock with the 5 elements peacock bloodline. It is not bad. I will take it as my mount too. This trip is not bad. After saying that, the scaled youth glanced at Kong Lin and a ferocious look flashed across his eyes. Then he continued to attack Shirdo. "Shirdo, I will help you." Kong Lin's expression was unsightly. He let out a long cry and turned into a 5-colored peacock. He pounced at the scaled youth. Shirdo saw the opportunity and cooperated with Kong Lin. The two of them fought against the scaled youth. "Hee, what's the use of working together?" The scaled youth sneered. A huge crocodile appeared above his head. 9 golden chakras shone around the crocodile. Divine Beast, Overlord Crocodile. The scaled youth performed bloodline fusion and turned into a huge Overlord Crocodile. "You will be defeated." The Overlord Crocodile roared. Its tail swept out like a divine whip and hit Kong Lin. The 5 elements divine light on Kong Lin's body was shattered. He wailed and 5-colored feathers flew. His body was sent flying. At the same time, the Overlord Crocodile's palm hit Shirdo and sent him flying. Shirdo and Kong Lin were no match for the scaled youth. "Trash. You can barely be my mounts. How dare you resist?" The Overlord Crocodile glanced at them and said disdainfully. Then it looked at Lu Ming, Underworld Child, Yang Padian, and the rest. "I will say it again. The Divine Crocodile Continent wants General Peak. If you know what's good for you, get lost. Otherwise, I will fight you one by one." How arrogant. Tuoba Shi licked his lips. He wanted to fight, but his cultivation had not broken through to the 4th level Spirit God realm. He knew that he was no match for the scaled youth. "My hair." Heartless monk chanted Buddha's name and squinted his eyes. However, it was obvious that no one would leave this place easily. "You don't want to get lost? Then I will fight you one by one." An ominous glint flashed in the giant crocodile's eyes as it swept its gaze over the crowd. In the end, it landed on the Underworld Child and said, "The next one is you. Just now you revealed killing intent towards me. Don't think I didn't sense it. Kneel." The Overlord Crocodile was very domineering. As soon as it finished speaking, a beam of light shot out from its eyes and blasted towards Underworld Child. Underworld Child's eyes turned cold. Endless underworld chi erupted. Within the underworld chi, there were waves of ghostly wails and wolf howls. It was extremely horrifying. A saber appeared in his hand. It was a black curved saber. Evil spirits appeared on it. They were extremely lifelike, as if they were about to crawl out. Whoosh. Underworld Child held the curved saber in his hand and slashed out, shattering the beam of light shot out by the Overlord Crocodile. At the same time, Underworld Child rose into the air and stood in front of the Overlord Crocodile. A powerful aura erupted. 4th level spirit god realm. Obviously, Underworld Child had also made a breakthrough during this period and stepped into the 4th level spirit god realm. If you want to fight, I will accompany you. A cold voice came from Underworld Child's mouth. 4th level spirit god realm. The divine wilderness continent finally has a decent figure. However, you have just broken through to the 4th level spirit god realm. You want to fight me? You are still far from it. Chapter 1199. Bang, bang, bang. The Emperor Crocodile's 4 limbs stepped into the air, releasing rumbling sounds as it crawled towards Underworld Child. Its entire body's scales shone, and it opened its mouth to roar, appearing extremely sinister. Whoosh! A huge claw slammed down at the Underworld Child. The nether energy around the Underworld Child grew thicker as the bloodline of the Grim Reaper appeared above his head. He didn't hide anything. Facing such a powerful enemy, Underworld Child used his bloodline fusion to transform into a death god. The death god's side swung towards the giant crocodile. Clang! The death god's side struck the Overlord Crocodile's claws, emitting the sound of metal clashing. Sparks flew in all directions. The death god transformed from the Underworld Child stepped on the void and retreated continuously. However, the giant crocodile's body trembled, and it didn't immediately give chase. So it can attack the soul directly. Unfortunately, it's not powerful enough to do anything to me. Kill. The Overlord Crocodile was a bit surprised. Its body began to glow, and it let out a furious roar as it charged toward the Underworld Child. Underworld Child's expression changed drastically. The Grim Reaper's body began to split apart. In the end, it turned into 12 Grim Reapers and surrounded the giant crocodile. The Nether Child's 12 Citadel battle formation. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 12 Death God avatars and 12 Death God sides slashed at the giant crocodile. Petty tricks. The great Emperor Crocodile's voice rang out. Its tail swept out, shattering space. 7 or 8 Death Gods were sent flying. The remaining Death Gods were also sent flying by the Overlord Crocodile's claws. As for the Overlord Crocodile, its body merely trembled a few times, and light spread out as if it was blocking the Death God's soul attacks. Then, as if nothing had happened, he continued to attack the Nether Child. Bang! With a flick of his tail, a Death God exploded. Next, the Overlord Crocodile opened its mouth and spat out a beam of light, destroying a Death God. In the end, the Underworld Child was no match for his opponent. After exchanging over 10 moves, he was completely suppressed. His 12 clones were being defeated one after another. Soon after, of the 12 Death Gods, only one was left. It was grabbed by the great crocodile's 2 claws and directly ripped apart. Underworld Child's true body appeared, and he frantically retreated while coughing out large mouthfuls of blood. Underworld Child was defeated, similarly not a match. He can't even withstand a single blow. It looks like the strongest in the divine wilderness is only at this level. The giant crocodile's eyes swept over Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing's expressions didn't change, but the rest of the people didn't look too good. Even Underworld Child had been defeated. The remaining ones, such as Monk Wuliang and Yang Patian, were not confident at all. Their combat strength might not be comparable to Underworld Child's. Looks like the divine wilderness continent is bound to lose. There aren't any outstanding geniuses. That's right. I wonder what the rank of the person who did it is in the divine crocodile continent? Peak LV4 Spirit God. I think his ranking in the godly crocodile continent wouldn't be low. The godly crocodile continent isn't stupid. Of course they will send out experts. The surrounding people were discussing. Who's going to attack next? The giant crocodile continued to speak. It seemed like it really wanted to fight them one by one. Heartless Monk, Yang Patian, and the others' expressions changed, but they didn't say anything. What a bunch of trash. How about this, all of you come at me together and I'll take care of all of you together. I'll let all of you roll off the general's peak willingly. The Emperor Crocodile opened its mouth, extremely arrogant. It actually wanted the people of the divine desolate continent to attack together. Damn it. Tabashir gritted his teeth and a murderous glint appeared in his eyes. If it weren't for the fact that he knew he couldn't win, he would have charged forward. What's with that look? Are you not convinced? Then I'll start with you. The Emperor Crocodile glanced at Tabashir and a cold glint flashed across its eyes. A tail covered with scales whipped towards Tabashir. Chi-chi, as the tail whipped past, the space shattered like paper. The tail carried a terrifying spatial storm as it whipped towards Tabashir. Tabashir's expression changed drastically. His cultivation was only at the peak LV3 Spirit God realm, which was one level lower than his opponent. He was no match for his opponent at all. He gritted his teeth and was about to use his full strength to resist the attack when a voice sounded. "Let me do it." Bang. Lu Ming stepped forward and appeared in front of Ta Ba Shi. The dragon force in his body roared and his true yuan boiled. Lu Ming stretched out his hand and grabbed the Emperor Crocodile's tail. "How dare you grab my tail with your bare hands? Break your arms." The Emperor Crocodile's eyes revealed a trace of malevolence. However, in the next moment, its eyes flashed with astonishment. Its tail whipped heavily on Lu Ming's palm. However, Lu Ming's palm did not move an inch and neither did his body. Instead, its tail was grabbed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming exhaled and grabbed the Emperor Crocodile's tail with both hands. It was as if he was swinging a big hammer. He swung the Emperor Crocodile's huge body up and smashed it heavily towards the mountain peak. Bang! The Emperor Crocodile's huge body smashed heavily on General Peak, causing the entire mountain to shake violently. Countless inscriptions appeared on the surface of General Peak and neutralized the terrifying force. If it was not for the protection of the inscription array, the entire General Peak would have exploded and not a single stone would be left. The remaining people from the Divine Crocodile continent were stunned. The onlookers in the distance were also stunned. They had never expected that there would be a fierce person in the Divine Wilderness continent who could swing the Emperor Crocodile's huge body like a big hammer. "It's not over yet. It's coming again," someone shouted. Sure enough, Lu Ming was not done yet. He swung the Emperor Crocodile's body and smashed it down again. "Kid, let go of me." The Emperor Crocodile roared and struggled violently. However, it was useless. At that moment, Lu Ming had unleashed 8 dragons. His divine strength was invincible and the Emperor Crocodile could not struggle at all. Boom. The Emperor Crocodile's huge body smashed down again, causing the mountain to shake non-stop. Boom. 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 Following that, loud explosions could be heard from the mountain peak. The Emperor Crocodile was repeatedly smashed on the mountain peak and let out a blood-curdling scream. The sky prides of the Divine Wilderness continent such as the Underworld Child and Yang Padian gasped. Especially Lion Do, who broke out in cold sweat. Lu Ming was getting stronger and stronger. How violent. They silently mourned for the Emperor Crocodile. However, they felt extremely comfortable in their hearts. Wasn't the Emperor Crocodile arrogant? Now it's going to be a dead dog. Boom. After being smashed more than 10 times, the Emperor Crocodile could no longer maintain its bloodline fusion state and reverted back to its human form. Lu Ming kicked the Emperor Crocodile's face and sent it flying far away. A young man from the Divine Crocodile continent flew out and caught the Emperor Crocodile. Otherwise, no one knew where the Emperor Crocodile would have flown to. I didn't expect the Divine Wilderness continent to have such an expert. I really didn't expect it. Interesting. It's the Divine Crocodile continent's turn to have a headache. Some people were discussing in the distance. To them, no matter which side won, it had nothing to do with them. They were just there to watch the show. That kid does have some strength. However, the real experts of the Divine Crocodile continent have not appeared yet. Mu Feng snorted and said. Lu Ming's combat strength was within his expectations. Since Lu Ming could easily defeat him, it was normal for him to defeat a peak level 4 spirit god from the Divine Crocodile continent. Chapter 1200. As far as I know, there are at least 2 or 3 level 5 spiritual gods in the Divine Crocodile continent. Mu Feng explained with a smirk. There are at least 2 or 3 level 5 spiritual gods? Someone sucked in a cold breath. That's right. This is just the beginning. Mu Feng sneered as the sharpness in his eyes intensified. A level 5 spiritual god was much stronger than a level 4 spiritual god. At that moment, the elites of the Divine Crocodile continent had ugly looks on their faces. Among them, a burly young man in golden armor stepped out. His eyes were golden as he stared at Lu Ming, releasing a powerful aura. I didn't expect that there would be a decent expert in the divine region. Not bad. The young man in golden armor said coldly. If you want to fight, then do it. Cut the crap. Lu Ming said flatly. Haha, you're arrogant, but... The young man in golden armor started to laugh, but his eyes were cold. His eyes swept past Lu Ming and landed on a courtyard in the forest. Pretending to be calm in front of the elites of the Divine Crocodile continent makes me uncomfortable. So, I'll take care of this guy first, then I'll take care of you. Having said that, the young man in golden armor stretched out his hand and grabbed at the air. A giant golden claw formed above the courtyard and grabbed at it. He's attacking Long Chen. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows and smirked. He had already noticed that Long Chen was living in the courtyard. From the very beginning, Long Chen had not appeared. He had only been cultivating in that courtyard. Obviously, the young man in golden armor had also noticed that Long Chen was cultivating in the courtyard. He was unhappy and wanted to take down Long Chen before dealing with Lu Ming. Looks like I don't have to do anything, Lu Ming muttered as he retreated to Xian Yanqing's side. He was happy to be free. Get lost. When the giant golden claw was about to grab Long Chen, a cold shout came from the courtyard. A fist radiance flew out and smashed the giant golden claw. Swoosh. A figure stepped out from the courtyard and appeared in the air. It was Long Chen. Were you the one who attacked? Long Chen stared at the golden-armored youth. Not bad, I didn't expect your cultivation base to be... Whoosh. Before the golden-armored young man could finish his sentence, Long Chen's figure had already approached the golden-armored young man at an extremely fast speed. Long Chen threw a punch at him. The pressure of this punch caused the golden-armored young man's expression to change drastically. He hurriedly punched out as well. When the two fists collided, the golden-armored young man's face immediately turned the color of pig liver. With a loud bang, his body was sent flying backward. His arm was trembling non-stop, and he nearly spat out a mouthful of blood. How dare you sneak attack me? Despicable. The young man in golden armor roared, and a giant crocodile appeared above his head. Unlike the previous person, this giant crocodile was golden as if it was made of gold. Both of them possessed a 9th-rank divine bloodline. The golden-armored man unleashed bloodline fusion, and his aura surged violently. This person's cultivation was at the mid-5th level of the spirit god realm, and he was slightly stronger than the scaled young man from before. The golden-armored youth transformed into a giant crocodile and charged towards Long Chen. Boom. Long Chen's aura skyrocketed and his arms became thicker. They were twice as thick as before. That's dragon scales? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He saw scales that looked like dragon scales on Long Chen's thick arms. Could it be that Long Chen's bloodline is a type of true dragon? Lu Ming guessed. Boom. Boom. Long Chen continuously punched out with both hands. The first punch sent the golden-armored young man's tail flying. The second punch landed on the giant crocodile's head. With a loud bang, the giant crocodile's body was sent flying backward. Whoosh. Long Chen took a step forward and closed in on the giant crocodile. He raised his huge fists and continuously punched down. The fist energy broke through everything and the giant crocodile couldn't resist. The golden-armored young man let out a miserable cry. Damn, another monster has appeared in the divine wilderness continent. He's so strong that even a 5th-level spirit god realm expert isn't his match? It seems like this person is the strongest person in the divine wilderness continent. Long Chen's battle strength made the onlookers tremble. Mu Feng's face was cold as he snorted. However, there was shock in his eyes. Long Chen was someone that he had to deal with. However, Long Chen's battle strength had exceeded his expectations. Bam. Bam. After a few punches, the golden-armored young man wailed in pain. Stop. A young man from the divine crocodile continent shouted as a powerful aura erupted from his body. Nonsense, if you want to fight, then fight together. Don't disturb my cultivation. Long Chen scolded. Damn it, he's too arrogant. He's too arrogant. I suggest that we fight together to suppress this person. That's right, let's fight together. Long Chen's disdainful attitude made the young men from the divine crocodile continent roar in anger. They were all peerless geniuses and stood at the peak of the divine crocodile continent. Even the sovereigns didn't dare to look down on them. When had they ever been looked down upon? All of them roared and wanted to fight together. Boom. Boom. At least 7 or 8 young men from the divine crocodile continent had bloodlines above their heads. All of them had level 9 divine grade bloodlines and were giant crocodiles. Most of the people from the divine crocodile continent had inherited the bloodlines of the ancient divine crocodile, overlord crocodile and giant crocodile. A total of 7 young men had merged their bloodlines and turned into giant crocodiles. 2 of them had powerful auras. One is a late level 5 spiritual god and the other is a peak level 5 spiritual god. Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he saw the cultivation of the young men from the divine crocodile continent. Other than them, the rest were level 4 spiritual gods. As for those with lower cultivation, they didn't fight. The 7 experts turned into giant crocodiles and pounced towards Long Chen. This time, they should be able to force Long Chen to show his strength. The other young men from the divine region, including Lu Ming, were curious as they wanted to see Long Chen's true strength. Long Chen's eyes revealed a rare trace of fighting spirit. Roar. An earth-shattering roar resounded as a giant creature appeared above Long Chen's head. It was a giant elephant that was even bigger than a mountain. However, this giant elephant was different from an ordinary elephant as it was covered with scales like a dragon's armor. There were also 9 golden chakras around the giant elephant. However, the aura emitted by the giant elephant was much stronger than the aura emitted by other level 9 god-level bloodlines. This is the immemorial dragonesque elephant. Someone has awakened the bloodline of the immemorial dragonesque elephant? A surprised voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. It was Dandan. Dandan seemed to have sensed the aura of Long Chen's bloodline as he appeared from the mountain river diagram. Immemorial dragonesque elephant? Is it a hybrid of a true dragon and a divine elephant? Lu Ming was stunned. No, the immemorial dragonesque elephant is a separate race that has nothing to do with the true dragon. It is even stronger than the true dragon because it is as famous as the 9 dragons. It is one of the top 10 battle beasts with me. Dandan explained. The immemorial dragonesque elephant is one of the top 10 battle beasts. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Chapter 1201. The strength of the bloodlines of the top 10 beasts could be seen from the 9 dragons bloodline. The 9 dragons bloodline was only a level 8 divine grade bloodline, but it contained 8 dragon forces. Coupled with the devouring power, its combat strength was already shocking. Moreover, the 9 dragons bloodline's strongest point was its devouring power. It could refine all kinds of energy, even wills, to quickly increase one's cultivation and upgrade one's bloodline. The 9 dragons bloodline played an important role in Lu Ming's current achievements. One could imagine how terrifying the primordial dragonesque elephant bloodline, which was on par with the 9 dragons bloodline, was. The immemorial dragonesque elephant is famous for its combat strength among the top 10 beasts. It's so powerful that it can penetrate the world and suppress everything. It's amazing that this guy could awaken the immemorial dragonesque elephant bloodline. Dandan exclaimed. Brr. The dragonesque elephant roared and its aura spread out, causing the divine crocodile continent's sky prides to turn pale. Boom. Long Chen transformed into a dragonesque elephant and stepped out, stomping heavily on the golden armored youth's giant crocodile body. The golden giant crocodile exploded and the golden armored youth's figure appeared. He was bleeding profusely and blood gushed out of his mouth as he fell to the ground. Apparently, Long Chen had shown mercy and did not kill him. However, he was still severely injured. Brr. Then the immemorial dragonesque elephant roared and swept its trunk. 3 level 4 spirit god Sky Pride's bloodlines collapsed and their bodies were sent flying as they screamed in pain. Let's work together. The strongest person in the divine crocodile continent was a level 5 spirit god. He shouted and whipped his tail at the immemorial dragonesque elephant. Bang! Bang! The immemorial dragonesque elephant was actually very agile. It took 2 steps forward and a terrifying energy burst out, blocking the opponent. At the same time, its 2 tusks glowed, and 2 rays of light shot out like 2 heavenly blades flying out. A few more heaven's favorites had their blood and bodies destroyed, and they were sent flying away while screaming in pain. Only 2 level 5 spirit god sky prides from the divine crocodile continent were left in the sky. The immemorial dragonesque elephant stepped out, causing the sky to shake. Although the 2 sky prides from the divine crocodile continent tried their best, they could not withstand it and were completely crushed. In just a few moves, the 2 of them screamed in pain. Their bloodline power dissipated and they reverted to their human forms. And blood gushed out of their mouths as they looked at the dragonesque elephant in the sky in fear. Whoosh! The Archean dragonesque elephant shrunk and Long Chen's body reappeared. He glanced at the geniuses of the godly crocodile continent and said coldly, "Get lost." The sky prides of the divine crocodile continent had ugly expressions on their faces. However, they did not dare to stay any longer. They brought those injured people and retreated back to the soldier's peak. So powerful. Who is this person? He's so powerful that even a peerless genius at the 5th level of the spirit god realm couldn't withstand a single blow. He's indeed too strong. To think that a mere divine wilderness continent would have such a person. Such fighting strength can only be found in the top 10 continents. How shocking. We have another strong opponent in the heavenly god sect's selection of disciples this time. In the distance, the geniuses from the other continents and the godly ruins continent looked at Long Chen with solemn expressions. Damn it, how can this person be so strong? Mu Feng gritted his teeth and his face turned ugly. Initially, he wanted the people of the Divine Crocodile Continent to torture the Divine Wilderness Continent. Unexpectedly, the result was the complete opposite. Long Chen's expression was calm. He didn't say a word and directly returned to his courtyard to continue cultivating. What a weirdo. Lu Ming shook his head and smiled. How is it? Are you confident? Xian Yanqing blinked his big eyes and looked at Lu Ming. What he meant was Lu Ming confident in defeating Long Chen? The peak of the 5th level of the spirit god realm and the ancient dragonesque elephant bloodline is indeed abnormally strong. However, when have I ever lost in a battle of the same level? Lu Ming smiled confidently. He had a rough idea of Long Chen's strength. Shameless. Xian Yanqing curled his lips, but there was a smile on his face. The two chatted as they returned to their courtyard and continued cultivating. There were less than 3 months before the Heavenly God Sect's selection. Everyone wanted to seize the time to cultivate and increase their strength. The stronger they were, the higher their chances of being selected. Time passed quickly and half a month had passed. Lu Ming cultivated diligently every day and made great progress. His various intents had improved by quite a bit. However, his earth intent was still at the peak of the 4th level for the time being and had yet to reach the 4th level of the greater mastery. On the other hand, Lu Ming had actually reached the 8th step of the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. The 8th step was equivalent to the prowess of a superior grade divine level martial technique. Given Lu Ming's current cultivation level, he could not unleash its full prowess. However, once he executed it, its prowess would undoubtedly be stronger and Lu Ming's combat prowess would be enhanced. On this day, Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing went out together. It had been more than half a month since they came to the southern divine palace in the Godly Ruins continent. The two of them planned to walk around and experience the local customs of the Godly Ruins continent. Then they would see if there were any treasures, spiritual herbs or materials that they could buy. Especially the materials for the Nirvana pill. Some of them were already very difficult to find in the Godly Ruins continent. However, that might not be the case in the Godly Ruins continent. Perhaps they could find some. The two of them flew out of the General's Peak and toward a bustling street. Brother Lu Mixia, what a coincidence. A voice came from the side. Brother Yi. Lu Ming turned and saw that it was Yi Chuan. Are the two of you planning to go shopping? Yi Chuan asked. That's right. We've been here for more than half a month and we haven't gone shopping. Lu Ming said with a smile. Do the two of you have a place to go? Yi Chuan asked. No, we're just looking around to see if we can buy some materials and spiritual herbs. Lu Ming said. If it's ordinary spiritual herbs and materials, you can find them in the ordinary market. If it's some rare materials and spiritual herbs, it's hard to find them in the ordinary market. I know a place where you can find some very rare materials and spiritual herbs. Yi Chuan said. Oh, where is it? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Treasure Exchange Pavilion. Treasure Exchange Pavilion? Lu Ming was puzzled. As the name suggests, the Treasure Exchange Pavilion is a place where you can exchange for treasures. As long as you enter, you can take out treasures that you don't need and exchange them for treasures that you need. If someone needs them, they will naturally take them out to exchange. That way you can get some rare treasures. Yi Chuan explained. There's such a place? Let's go take a look. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Haha, I was going to the Treasure Exchange Pavilion anyway. Let me lead the way. Yi Chuan said straightforwardly. Yi Chuan led the way and the three of them landed on a street. They walked along the street and took a detour before arriving in front of a huge building. It was a pavilion that was incomparably spacious and occupied a large area. It had 7 floors and towered into the sky. It stood out among the other buildings. Chapter 1202. The Treasure Exchange Tower used to be a place for the older generation of experts to exchange for treasures. But recently, prodigies from all over the continent have gathered here. I heard that Jianghu has reserved this place for the younger generation of prodigies to exchange for treasures. Yi Chuan explained. Jianghu? Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were slightly taken aback. Haha, Jianghu is one of the 3 strongest prodigies in our southern god palace. She's a peerless beauty. Perhaps she's on the highest floor today. If there's a chance, we might be able to meet her. Yi Chuan's eyes lit up when he mentioned Jianghu. Lu Ming smiled slightly, and the 3 of them walked towards the Treasure Exchange Tower. There were 7 floors in total, and one had to pay a fee to enter. The first floor was 1,000 ores per person, and the higher the floor, the higher the price. The 3 of them paid the fee and stepped into a door made of light. Yes, the door of the Treasure Exchange Tower was not an ordinary door. It was a portal, and entering it was a portal. After the three of them stepped into the portal, they appeared on the side of a large hall in the next moment. The hall was extremely spacious and there were rows of tables and chairs around the hall. At this moment, there were many people sitting at the tables and chairs. There was a large empty space between the tables and chairs, and a young man was standing there with a treasure in his hand. A piece of suashing iron. It's a top level 7 refining material. I'll exchange it for 3 wind god pills. Whoever has 3 wind god pills can have this piece of suashing iron. The young man looked around and his voice echoed throughout the hall. I happen to have 3 wind god pills. I'll exchange it with you. After a long while, a young lady stood up, took out a jade bottle and handed it over to the young man. The young man opened the jade bottle and looked inside. His face lit up with joy as he said, "It's really the wind god pellet. Many thanks, this piece of star iron is yours." The young man handed the suashing iron to the young woman, and the two of them sat down happily. The first floor is filled with people with low cultivation. It's rare to see high-quality items here. Let's go up. Yichuan said. Lu Ming nodded. He scanned with his spiritual sense and found that most of the young men on this floor were below the spiritual god realm. The three of them walked towards another door of light. The passageway between each floor required a teleportation gate. There were also people guarding the portal. The three of them handed over the ores and stepped into the portal. The layout of the second floor was exactly the same as that of the first floor. The only difference was that there were fewer people on the second floor, but their cultivation was higher than that of the first floor. In the first few floors, the three of them did not stop. Soon they arrived at the 5th floor. Brother Yi, do you still want to continue upwards? I'll see if there's anything I need on this floor. Yichuan said. Brother Yi, please go ahead. We'll go up and take a look. Lu Ming said. The materials needed to concoct the nirvana pill were all extremely rare. The higher the level, the higher the cultivation of the geniuses, the more likely it was to appear. Lu Ming planned to continue upwards. All right, then I wish the two of you good luck in exchanging for what you need. Yichuan cupped his fists and walked towards the hall. He sat down on a chair. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing continued to walk towards another door of light and arrived at the 6th floor. There were fewer people on the 6th floor. At a glance there were only about 50 people. Each of them was a young man with a strong aura. They had the potential to be dragons and phoenixes. Obviously they were all geniuses from different continents. After arriving at this floor, Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing did not continue upwards. Instead, they walked towards the tables and chairs at the side of the hall. At this moment, Lu Ming noticed a few cold gazes sweeping towards them. So, they're from the almighty crocodile continent. Lu Ming's lips curled up slightly. He ignored the gazes of the geniuses from the almighty crocodile continent and sat down at a table. At this moment, a young man was holding a treasure in the middle of the hall. He wanted to exchange for the treasure that he needed with someone else. However, the young man asked a few times but no one answered him. Obviously, no one had the treasure that he needed. In the end, the young man sighed and left helplessly. After the young man left, another young man stepped forward. A milky white horn appeared in his hand. This is the horn of the Holy Light Tiger. It's a level 8 material. It can be exchanged for a lower divine martial arts movement technique. Anyone who has it can have it. The young man introduced. The treasures on the 6th floor are indeed of a higher level than the ones on the lower floors. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. However, the horn of the Holy Light Tiger was not something that he and Xian Yanqing needed. Naturally, they did not say anything. I'll exchange a movement technique with you. A young man stood up and took out a secret manual. The two of them exchanged happily. Next, the young men and women stepped forward one by one. They took out their treasures and said what they needed. Of course, not everyone could exchange for the treasures that they needed. Some people would settle for the next best thing. If someone could offer a good price, they would sell it to get some origin stones. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing looked around for half an hour. Unfortunately, they did not find the treasures that they needed. It seems that we have to go to the 7th floor to take a look. Lu Ming smiled bitterly at Xian Yanqing. I have a piece of sky thunder wood. I'll exchange it for a purple smoke fruit. At this moment, a voice sounded, shocking Lu Ming. Sky thunder wood. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The sky thunder wood actually had powerful lightning energy. It was very effective in comprehending the concept of lightning. Lu Ming had comprehended the concept of lightning. If he used the sky thunder wood to comprehend the concept of lightning, he could save a lot of time. However, Lu Ming did not have a purple smoke fruit. Lu Ming frowned slightly. Fortunately, some of the people present were also tempted. However, no one said anything. Obviously there were no purple smoke fruits. No purple smoke fruits? The young man who took out the Sky Thunder would asked with a disappointed expression. Brother, can I buy it with origin stones? Someone asked. The young man who took out the Sky Thunder would pondered for a while and said, since there are no purple smoke fruits, let's buy it with origin stones. You guys bid and the highest bidder will get it. I bid 500,000 origin stones. Immediately someone made a bid. I bid 600,000. I bid 650,000. Soon the price rose steadily and was called to 800,000 origin stones. The concept of lightning was one of the 9 common concepts. Naturally, there were many people who comprehended it. Therefore, Lu Ming was not in a hurry to bid. Soon the price rose to 1 million origin stones. I bid 2 million origin stones. At this moment, a voice sounded and doubled the price. It's him, the genius of the divine crocodile continent. Lu Ming's eyes moved. He recognized the young man who suddenly increased the price. This person was the strongest person on the divine crocodile continent. He was at the peak of the 5th level spirit god realm. Half a month ago he was easily defeated by Long Qin. At this moment he was staring at the Sky Thunder wood with a burning gaze. Chapter 1203. The sudden increase of 1 million showed that the divine crocodile continent's prodigy was determined to get it. Many people chose to give in. However, there were still people who continued to bid. I'll bid 2,100,000. 2,200,000. There were still 2 people who bid, raising the price to 2,200,000. 3 million. The divine crocodile continent's prodigy opened his mouth again. He was determined to get it and raised the price to 3 million. Yi Kuang, since you want the Sky Thunder wood so much, I'll give it to you. A young man who originally bid said and withdrew from the competition. Yi Kuang was the name of the strongest prodigy in the divine crocodile continent. Forget it. 3 million isn't worth it. I'll keep it and buy something else. Another young man shook his head and gave up the competition. Yi Kuang's face showed a smile. His thunder essence had reached a bottleneck. This Sky Thunder wood might help him break through the bottleneck. Now that no one competed with him, he was naturally overjoyed. Haha, in this case I'll buy this Sky Thunder wood, Yi Kuang laughed. Wait a minute, I'll bid 3,500,000. At this moment a voice sounded, causing Yi Kuang to stop mid-sentence. Then, his eyes flashed sharply as he looked at the person who spoke. It's you from the divine wilderness continent. Seeing the person who spoke, the sharpness in Yi Kuang's eyes intensified. The one who bid was naturally Lu Ming. I'll bid 3,500,000. Do you want it or not? If you don't want it, the Sky Thunder wood is mine. Lu Ming glanced at Yi Kuang and said lightly. I'll bid 4 million. Yi Kuang gritted his teeth. 5 million. Lu Ming directly increased the price by 1 million. Right now, Lu Ming's primordial stones were piled up like a mountain in his storage ring. He had plenty of primordial stones. He would not even bat an eyelid at the addition of 1 million primordial stones. Yi Kuang's face was completely gloomy. 5 million ores had already exceeded his budget. Kid, you're determined to go against me, aren't you? Yi Kuang stared at Lu Ming with unkind eyes. What a joke. Naturally, everyone wants treasures. You're not the only one who can use the heavenly lightning wood. I can use it too, so I naturally want it too. What does it have to do with you? If you want it, then add the raw stones. If you don't have any raw stones, then shut up. Lu Ming said calmly. Brat, don't think that just because Long Qin has appeared in the divine wilderness continent, you trash can do whatever you want. Let me tell you, if Long Qin isn't here, I can suppress you with a flip of my hand. Yi Kuang yelled angrily and completely turned hostile. During this time, Long Qin's name had also spread, so Yi Kuang knew about it. Idiot. Lu Ming pursed his lips. Everyone, there's no rule against fighting in the treasure exchange pavilion, right? Yi Kuang's voice sounded, asking others. No, there is indeed no rule against fighting in the treasure conversion pavilion. Someone spoke with the mentality of watching a good show. Well, this person deliberately provoked me and raised the price with me. I can only teach him a lesson and let him know that everyone's actions and words have to be linked to his strength. Without strength, some actions can't be done and some words can't be said. Yi Kuang got up, stepped out and closed in on Lu Ming. His eyes were cold. Hee, it seems that Yi Kuang is furious. That brat is most likely going to be abused. Someone sneered. Indeed, Long Qin of the divine wilderness continent is indeed powerful, but other than Long Qin the rest are trash. Yet, they want to use Long Qin's name to do whatever they want. It's normal for them to be abused. Such a person will be killed sooner or later. There was a burst of discussion all around. These discussions were all heard by Lu Ming. Lu Ming was speechless. When did he use Long Chen's name to do whatever he wanted? Could it be that when he wanted to buy something at a high price, it became borrowing Long Chen's name? These people were too imaginative. In fact, it was no wonder. In the past, the divine wilderness continent wasn't considered strong among the continents. This time, there was an existence like Long Chen with amazing combat strength. In the eyes of others, Long Chen was a special case. The rest of the divine wilderness continent were still trash. Now that a trash was so arrogant, they naturally thought that Lu Ming was borrowing Long Chen's name to do whatever he wanted. Brat, get out of here now. Give up bidding with me and I will let you go, Yi Kuang said. After all, he was still a little afraid of Long Chen. They lived in Soldier Peak and General Peak, which were next to each other. If Long Chen found trouble with him later, he was also afraid. Lu Ming shook his head and said, Little Qin, such trash also came to participate in the Celestial Divine Sex selection. Why do I feel that our chances of winning have greatly increased? I think so too. Hey look, this person's face has become darker than a pig's liver. Xian Yanqing squinted his eyes and muttered along with Lu Ming. The two of them talked back and forth, directly making Yi Kuang's face turn into a pig's liver color. Courting death, I will cripple you, Yi Kuang roared. Sharp nails emerged from his claws, and his palms were covered with scales like a crocodile's claws. Moreover, there were traces of lightning on them. Swish! Yi Kuang's claw grabbed at Lu Ming's throat. It was as fast as lightning, unbelievably fast. This claw was terrifyingly powerful. Even an ordinary 7th-level spirit god martial artist would be killed by this claw. Boom! Boom! The 8 dragon forces in Lu Ming's body erupted. His arm muscles bulged and he blasted out a punch. Boom! A muffled sound of impact rang out. Kacha! Kacha! Immediately there was a sound of bones breaking. Yi Kuang snorted. His face changed drastically and his body retreated wildly. In the main hall, dense inscriptions emerged on the ground, removing Yi Kuang's power. This person is so powerful. On the side, the others were shocked and a little aghast. At this moment, Yi Kuang's claws were completely deformed and twisted together. Obviously, Yi Kuang's 5 fingers were broken by Lu Ming's punch. Not only did this punch block Yi Kuang's attack, but it also broke Yi Kuang's fingers. This kind of power was amazing. You're courting death. Yi Kuang was furious. With a roar, the aura of a 5th-level spirit god erupted. At the same time, his bloodline emerged on top of his head. He transformed into a giant crocodile flashing with lightning. However, because he was in the treasure redemption house, his giant crocodile had become much smaller, unlike the mountain-like ones outside. Here, the giant crocodile's body had shrunk to 10 meters long, but its power had not weakened at all. It was still terrifying. Yi Kuang roared and pounced at Lu Ming. Today I will teach you a lesson. Lu Ming got up and the 3rd bloodline emerged. His hair turned blood red. Endless murderous intent shrouded Yi Kuang. Whoosh. Chapter 1204. The sword light was like blood, filled with cold murderous intent as it cut through the void. Puchi. In front of everyone's shocked eyes, the giant crocodile transformed by Yi Kuang was directly split into 2 halves. The giant crocodile's huge body dissipated into energy light. In the light, a figure retreated quickly with blood splattering in the air. It was Yi Kuang. At this time his face was pale with horror. One of his arms was missing. He controlled his body to stop the bleeding and looked at Lu Ming in shock. At the scene, the other young sky prides also showed shock and disbelief. One sword. With just one sword, Lu Ming broke through Yi Kuang's bloodline fusion and severed one of Yi Kuang's arms. Such combat power was really amazing. The divine wilderness continent was too frightening. First there was Long Chen. Now this young man gave off an even more unfathomable feeling. Originally, they thought that the divine wilderness continent only produced a powerful sky pride like Long Chen occasionally. The others were still trash, but now they realized that they were wrong. Originally, there was no need for Lu Ming to take action. Long Chen alone was enough to deal with all the people of the divine crocodile continent. To borrow your own words, everyone has to pay the price for their words. Consider this an arm as a lesson for you. Now scram. Lu Ming withdrew his 3rd bloodline, and the aura on his body became calm again. He looked at Yi Kuang and said indifferently. Yi Kuang's face turned ugly, but he didn't dare to say a word. He turned around and disappeared from the teleportation array. Brother, here are 5 million raw stones to buy your sky thunder wood. Lu Ming took out a storage ring and walked to the young man who sold the Sky Thunder wood. Okay. Take the Sky Thunder wood. The young man was shocked and quickly handed the Sky Thunder wood to Lu Ming and kept Lu Ming's storage ring. Feeling the powerful thunder and lightning power in the Sky Thunder wood, Lu Ming smiled and returned to his seat. Little Qing, see if there's anything you need. Buy it together. Lu Ming said to Xian Yanqing. Yes, but I need items that contain demonic aura. They might be rare. Xian Yanqing said. The treasure exchange continued. However, they didn't see anything that Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing needed. After a period of time, Lu Ming walked to the center of the hall, cupped his fists and said, Everyone, this one is Lu Ming. I need 9-leaf Ganoderma, Emperor's Essence, Emperor's Blood Stone. If anyone has any of these treasures, feel free to name your price. Lu Ming will definitely find a way to achieve it. Lu Ming listed 5 materials in a row, all of which were the main materials for refining the Nirvana pill. The Nirvana pill required a total of 7 main ingredients. Now he had already collected 2 of them and he was still short of 5. These 5 are all extremely rare spiritual herbs and treasures. I don't have them on me. Indeed, neither do I. The surrounding young men shook their heads, indicating that they did not. After a while, seeing that everyone was shaking their heads, Lu Ming was somewhat disappointed and returned to his seat. Xiaoqing, shall we go to the top floor to take a look? Lu Ming said. Xian Yanqing nodded and left with Lu Ming, walking towards the portal. This was the 6th floor and there was another floor above it which was the 7th floor. After stepping through the portal, the 2 of them appeared on the 7th floor. There were even fewer people on the 7th floor. There were only about 20 of them sitting around. When Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing made their moves, pairs of eyes immediately looked towards them. However, most of them glanced at Lu Ming and ignored him. Most of them stopped at Xian Yanqing. What a beautiful girl. I wonder which continent she's from. Her appearance is not inferior to Ji Hongqin's. Low murmurs could be heard. It's them, Lu Ming. In the crowd there was a person with a cold gaze. It was Mu Feng. He was also here. Mu Feng, do you know them? Beside Mu Feng there was a very handsome young man. He wore a jade crown on his head and a golden robe, looking like a noble young master. At this moment, he looked at Xian Yanqing with a burning gaze. I know them. They are the geniuses of the Divine Wilderness continent. The man is Lu Ming and the woman is Xian Yanqing. Mu Feng said. Divine Wilderness continent? I heard that Long Chen's combat strength is not bad. What about these 2? What do you think? The noble young master said. Lu Ming's combat strength is slightly stronger than mine. The woman should be average. Mu Feng said, deliberately saying that Lu Ming's combat strength was only slightly stronger than his. That woman is not bad. I didn't expect there to be such a beauty in the Divine Wilderness continent. The noble young master stared at Xian Yanqing, his gaze burning even more. If cousin wants her, why don't you accept her? Mu Feng suggested. That's good too. After the treasure auction is over, I'll send someone to bring this girl to my residence. The noble young master said. His words were filled with strong confidence, as if he had made such a decision. The 2 of them spoke through voice transmission, so Lu Ming could not hear them. However, Lu Ming could still feel their gazes. Mu Feng. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as he walked towards a table with Xian Yanqing. At the same time, Lu Ming's gaze swept across the entire hall. There were only 20 or so people on the 7th floor, but all of them were full of essence qi. Their bodies faintly emitted an astonishing aura. Clearly they were all geniuses among geniuses. Among them there were a few whose auras made Lu Ming frown, feeling a sense of danger. What caught Lu Ming's attention the most was a woman sitting at the head of the table. She was wearing a fiery red dress, like a blooming flower. She was incomparably beautiful, but there was also a heroic spirit exuding from her. It was a very strange temperament, but on her body, it did not seem abrupt. Instead, it was very harmonious, forming a different kind of beauty. She was indeed beautiful, not inferior to the 5 great beauties of the central continent. What's wrong? You can't take your eyes off a beauty. Are you tempted? Xian Yanqing's voice sounded in Lu Ming's ears. What's wrong? Are you jealous? Lu Ming looked at Xian Yanqing teasingly. I'm not. Xian Yanqing pouted. How can she be as beautiful as you? How could I be tempted? Lu Ming said softly, causing Xian Yanqing's face to turn slightly red, and she gave Lu Ming an expression that said, at least you know what's good for you. The 2 of them sat to the side. At this moment, a young man took out a treasure and wanted to exchange it with the crowd. As expected of the 7th floor, the treasure that was taken out was different. It was a piece of golden mother iron which was extremely rare. It was an excellent material for refining spirit weapons, and even Lu Ming was tempted. Unfortunately, he did not have what the other party needed. Very quickly the young man sighed and put it away. Then, his palm lit up and another piece of yellow stone appeared. "This is the ancient mine of the ruins of God?" someone asked. "That's right, it's the ancient mine of the ruins of God," the young man replied. "Everyone knows that the ancient mine of the ruins of God might contain peerless treasures. Right now I have 3 pieces in my hands. They were all obtained from the ruins of God. Now I will sell these 3 pieces. The highest bidder will get them." Chapter 1205. The Ancient Mine of the Ruins of God? Lu Ming's expression changed and he was a little curious. Previously, they had taken the cross-sea flying ship to the continent of God for a month, so they more or less had some understanding of the continent of God. The reason why the continent of God was called the continent of God was because there were several ruins of God on the continent of God. It was very dangerous inside, but it was also filled with endless treasures and mysteries, so it was called the ruins of God. Legend had it that the ruins of God originally did not exist. Countless years ago, the sky split open and countless things fell from the sky, forming the ruins of God. From the ruins of God, one could excavate a type of or called the ancient mine of the ruins of God. The ore might contain supreme treasures. Some people had cut out supreme divine weapons, some had cut out supreme secret manuals, and some had cut out the bones, blood, essence and so on of supreme experts. They were all supreme treasures. Of course, it was more likely that there was nothing inside. For a moment, no one made a sound. Buying the ancient mine of the ruins of God was like gambling. If one bought it, they might not get anything. The chances of getting treasures from the ancient mine of the ruins of God were too small. Beside Mu Feng, there seemed to be flames dancing in the eyes of the noble young master. His eyes were fixed on one of the ancient mines of the ruins of God as if he had sensed something. "Lu Ming, I suggest you buy it because there's something good in one of the ancient mines. It might be of some help to you." At this moment, Danden's voice sounded. After this guy entered the treasure exchange tower, he had been lying on Lu Ming's shoulder without making a sound. Now he suddenly sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. "You can sense the things in the ancient mine of the ruins of God?" Lu Ming was stunned. It was said that the layer of yellow or outside the ancient mine of the ruins of God was very strange. It could block the scanning of spiritual senses. If one did not cut open the ancient mine, one would not know in advance whether there was anything in the ancient mine, let alone what it was. Only in very rare cases would one be able to sense something. For example, the noble young master's bloodline was faintly beating. He felt that there was something in the ancient mine that was extremely compatible with his bloodline. That was why there was a slight reaction. "This ancient mine is mine." The young master's eyes lit up as he said, "I'll bet 100,000 origin stones on my luck." 100,000 primordial stones was not considered high, but it was not low either. If the 3 ancient mines were empty, the 100,000 primordial stones would have been wasted. "Ah Muju, you're rich and overbearing. 100,000 raw stones is just a drop in the ocean for you. I'm not as rich as you, so I won't bet with you." "Me too." At the side the other youths laughed. There were many ancient mines of the godly ruins in other places of the southern divine palace. If they wanted to buy them, they could buy them at any time. Therefore the others all shook their heads and did not bid. This made the corner of Muju's mouth curl into a smile. If he could buy a primordial stone that contained a treasure with 100,000 primordial stones, then it would be a huge profit. His heart trembled. "I bid 200,000 ores. This is the first time I've seen an ancient mine in the ruins of God. It's interesting. I'll try my luck too," Lu Ming said calmly. Lu Ming's words made Muju's eyes turn cold. 300,000. Muju said. "Then I'll bid 500,000. Lu Ming said. This made Muju's face turn even uglier. He looked at Lu Ming and said, "Kid, you're new here, so you probably don't know the market price of the ancient mines of the godly ruins. Let me tell you, it's rumored that there are peerless treasures in the ancient mines of the godly ruins. However, the chances of that are very small. 99% of the ancient mines are empty. If you buy it, you might lose out. You don't have to worry about that. Also, don't you want to buy it too?" Lu Ming smiled faintly. Muju snorted and continued to bid, 600,000. At this time the other's eyes flickered. Looking at Muju's expression, he seemed to want it very much. Could it be that he sensed something? Aha, I feel like I'm in luck today. I'll buy it too. I'll bid 700,000. Is that so? I feel the same way. I'll bid 800,000. I'll bid 900,000. The other youths also bid. 4 sky prides like them, 100,000 primordial stones was nothing. If there were really treasures in the ancient mines of the godly ruins, then they would make a fortune. Soon the price rose to 1,500,000 primordial stones. This made Muju's face turn even uglier. All of this was because of Lu Ming. If it wasn't for Lu Ming competing with him, he might be able to buy the 3 ancient mines of the godly ruins with just 100,000 primordial stones. Now he couldn't even buy it with 2 million. Although Muju didn't really care about 1 or 2 million primordial stones, he was very unhappy to have spent so many primordial stones. 2 million primordial stones. Muju gritted his teeth and called out a price. This guy called out such a high price. Could it be that he really sensed something? The other's eyes flickered and continued to bid. Soon the price rose to 3 million. Lu Ming, forget it. Although there are things in there, the value is at most 3 million. Any higher and you'll lose money, Dandan said. Lu Ming was very surprised. It seemed that Dandan could really sense the specific things inside. Otherwise, how could he even measure the price? At this point, Lu Ming stopped bidding. On the other hand, Muju and the other young men were still bidding. In the end, the price rose to 5 million primordial stones and was bought by Muju. Damn it. Muju looked coldly at Lu Ming, killing intent flashed in his eyes. On the side, Mu Feng was ecstatic. This Lu Ming is really courting death. How dare he offend Muju? It seems that I don't need to find someone to deal with him. Mu Feng sneered in his heart. After that young man sold the ancient mines of the godly ruins, he went down. Then another person went up and took out treasures to exchange. Some people succeeded in exchanging treasures, while others returned disappointed. After seeing the treasures taken out by several people, Xian Yinqing and Lu Ming didn't have what they wanted. The two shook their heads in disappointment. It seemed that it wasn't easy to find what they needed. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a fire spiritual root here. I need to exchange it for a sword-shaped stone. I don't know who has a sword-shaped stone, but one is enough. Suddenly a voice sounded. What? Fire spiritual root. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and his eyes lit up. Fire spiritual root happened to be one of the main ingredients for refining nirvana pills. Finally he found something he needed. Fire spiritual root, it's the fire spiritual root. Peng Yuan actually took out such a precious treasure. On the side voices sounded. Fire spiritual root was a level 9 treasure. It was very rare in the world and many people were tempted. But a sword-shaped stone? Many people frowned. A sword-shaped stone was a treasure of the same level as the fire spiritual root. It was also rare in the world. Who would have it? It's the fire spiritual root. Muju's eyes suddenly lit up, emitting a blazing light. It was incomparably hot and greedy. Chapter 1206. Peng Yuan, must you exchange it with a sword-shaped stone? I can use other treasures or raw stones to buy it from you. Name your price. Muju stood up and stared at the fire spiritual root in Peng Yuan's hand. No, the fire spiritual root is useful to me, but I need a sword-shaped stone more. If you have one, I'll exchange it with you. If you don't, then forget it. Peng Yuan said. Peng Yuan, the fire spiritual root is useful to me. Can't we talk about it? Muju did not give up and said with a fiery gaze. What does it have to do with me if it's useful to you? Peng Yuan sneered. You? Muju's face darkened. However, Peng Yuan was a famous sky pride in the South God Palace and had a powerful force behind him. Hence, Muju was wary of Peng Yuan. If it was someone else, he would have taken action. Who has a sword-shaped stone? If you don't, then forget it. Peng Yuan said. I have one. Suddenly, a voice sounded. Everyone turned to look at the source of the voice. It's him. Many people were stunned. The one who spoke was Lu Ming. You have a sword-shaped stone? Peng Yuan's eyes lit up as he looked at Lu Ming. That's right. Lu Ming stood up and his palm glowed. A small stone sword appeared in Lu Ming's hand. The stone sword was the size of a palm. It was milky white and there was a faint sword chi being emitted from it. This was a sword-shaped stone. Lu Ming also felt lucky. This sword-shaped stone was found when Xiao Wan killed the Jianghu sword sex expert and Lu Ming was sorting through the storage rings of the Jianghu sword sex expert. When Xiao Wan killed so many experts, Lu Ming obtained a lot of good stuff and put them together. Now it came in handy. It's really a sword-shaped stone. Peng Yuan's eyes lit up as he looked at the stone sword in Lu Ming's hand. The sword-shaped stone was very useful to a sword cultivator. This sword-shaped stone should be enough to repay your fire spiritual root, Lu Ming said. Of course, Pang Yuan said with a smile. Wait. At this moment, Mu Ju said coldly. He took a step forward and stopped in front of Lu Ming. He looked at Lu Ming and said, Kid, sell your sword-shaped stone to me. Sell it to you? I'm sorry, but my sword-shaped stone needs to be exchanged with Brother Pang for the fire spiritual root. I don't have any extra sword-shaped stones, Lu Ming said. If you don't have any extra, sell the one in your hand to me. Hurry up, I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Name your price. Mu Ju said impatiently. Lu Ming frowned and said, Don't you understand what I said? I said that I have a use for this stone. Nonsense, I don't care if you're useful or not. Sell him to me now, do you hear me? Mu Ju coldly scolded. Ah, where did this idiot come from? Lu Ming sneered. Lu Ming was really speechless. This Mu Ju obviously wanted to use his sword-shaped stone to exchange for the fire spiritual root with Pang Yuan. He didn't dare to do anything to Pang Yuan, but he dared to bully him. At the side, the others looked on indifferently and didn't say anything. Kid, what did you say? Do you know who I am? I am Mu Ju, the young master of the Mu clan, one of the top 10 clans of the Southern Divine Palace. You dare. Get lost, I don't care who you are. It's none of my business who you are. A good dog doesn't block the way. Before Mu Ju could finish his words, he was coldly scolded by Lu Ming. He forcefully swallowed his words back. You're courting death. A mere trash from the divine wilderness continent dares to be so arrogant. If I don't teach you a lesson today, you won't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Mu Ju's face was completely gloomy. His eyes were cold and the aura on his body became violent. A layer of flame spread out from his body. At the side, the others looked on quietly and no one stopped him. In this world, treasures could only be obtained and protected if one had the strength to do so. Whoosh. Mu Ju waved his hand and a long whip condensed from flames lashed towards Lu Ming's face. You really think I'm a pushover? A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. His palm was like a knife as he slashed out. With a puff, the flame whip condensed by Mu Ju was cut into two. You have some ability, but you're still too inexperienced to be arrogant in front of me, Mu Ju said coldly. Boom. The aura on his body became even more violent. A terrifying pressure bloomed in the hall. The pressure was so strong that it surpassed the 5th level of the Spirit God realm. The 6th level of the Spirit God realm. Moreover, it was the peak of the 6th level of the Spirit God realm. Mu Ju's cultivation had reached the peak of the 6th level of the Spirit God realm. He was one level stronger than Lu Ming. Is this the strength of the Southern Divine Palace's genius? Lu Ming's eyes moved. The Godly Ruins continent was indeed the strongest continent in the Godly Ruins continent. The Southern Divine Palace could be considered as one of the 4 strongest forces in the Divine Ruins continent. The geniuses of the Southern Divine Palace were naturally extraordinary. In the Divine Wilderness continent, a genius like Long Chen was only at the peak of the 5th level of the Spirit God realm. The other geniuses like Xian Yinjuan and Underworld Child had just broken through to the 4th level of the Spirit God realm. The difference between them was too great. Kneel down. Mu Ju snorted coldly. He struck out with his palm, condensing a huge palm print that blasted toward Lu Ming. He wanted to suppress Lu Ming with one palm and make him kneel on the spot. So what if you're at the 6th level of the Spirit God realm? Lu Ming wasn't afraid at all. The dragon force in his body erupted as he threw out a punch. Boom. The terrifying fist energy bombarded the flaming hand and directly pierced through the flaming hand condensed by Mu Ju. Yeah. Mu Ju's eyes turned colder when he saw that his palm was destroyed by Lu Ming. Come on, it's my turn now. Lu Ming took a step forward. The ground trembled and countless inscriptions appeared. Swoosh. Lu Ming's figure instantly closed in on Lu Ming. At the same time, the 3rd bloodline appeared above his head. A wisp of energy flowed into him, causing his body to emit a bloody light. Boom. Borrowing the power of the 3rd bloodline, Lu Ming's strength surged again as he threw out a punch towards Mu Ju. A cold murderous intent shrouded Mu Ju as a terrifying force pressed down on him. This made Mu Ju's countenance change slightly. With a roar, flames flared and he threw a punch at Lu Ming. Boom. The 2 fists collided. Mu Ju's expression changed drastically as his body retreated a few steps. On the other hand, Lu Ming's body only swayed a little. What? Mu Ju was repelled. How is this possible? Mu Ju is at the peak of the 6th level of the Spirit God realm. How could he be repelled? That Lu Ming is only at the 5th level of the spirit god realm. How could this happen? The scene was in an uproar when Mu Ju was repelled with a punch. Many people cried out in shock. Among them, there were a few young men whose eyes flickered with splendor. For example, the beautiful woman in the fiery red dress had a look of astonishment in her eyes. "Damn it, kid, I'm going to kill you." Mu Ju roared furiously after being repelled by Lu Ming's punch. Chapter 1207. The killing intent on Mu Ju's body was extremely dense. The flames on his body were jumping crazily, and his bloodline emerged above his head. Mu Ju's bloodline was a vine that was filled with flames. There were 9 golden chakras shining on the vine. He used bloodline fusion and turned into a flaming vine. A terrifying aura filled the air. "Die for me." The flaming vines waved like long whips, rolling towards Lu Ming. The blazing flames seemed to be able to burn everything. The other youths around him got up one after another. Their true essence shone on their body, and intent revolved around them to resist the remaining power of the flames. Bang! Lu Ming used the suppressing hell art and struck out a palm. It hit one of the vines and made a dull collision sound. Lu Ming felt a gush of scorching flames spreading toward him. His palms felt slightly numb. To be honest, Mu Ju was very strong. A 9th level divine ranked bloodline and a peak 6th level spirit god realm cultivation base. His battle strength was extremely terrifying, much stronger than Yi Kuang. Swish, swish, swish. The flaming vines kept waving and whipping towards Lu Ming. This kind of vine could crack the earth with a single strike. Its power was terrifying. Lu Ming's 5-colored intent enveloped his body. The suppressing hell art's power was getting stronger and stronger. He struck out palm after palm. Bang, bang, bang. Lu Ming's palm kept colliding with the flaming vines. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than a dozen moves. The two of them were evenly matched. This had already shocked the others. So strong. This Lu Ming is so strong. It's unbelievable that he can fight Mu Ju above his level. It's indeed unbelievable. The divine wilderness continent is amazing. The rest of the people exclaimed. Their gazes toward Lu Ming were filled with fear. They had all awakened 9th level divine ranked bloodline and stood at the peak of all the prodigies. Their battle strength was unparalleled, and fighting above their level was as common as eating rice. For prodigies like them, it was almost impossible for others to fight above their level. Among prodigies with 9th level divine ranked bloodline, who would be weaker than the other? But now, Mu Ju, who had reached the peak 6th level spirit god realm, was fighting above his level. And the person who fought above his level was from the divine wilderness continent, which wasn't very famous. Die, die. Mu Ju howled madly. His cultivation was 1 level higher than Lu Ming's, but he still couldn't take down Lu Ming. This made him extremely angry. If news of this got out, his reputation would definitely take a huge hit. What was a genius? Geniuses needed to surpass levels to defeat others, and not be defeated by others. If one was defeated by others, what kind of genius was that? He was bound to become a joke. He was furious. He wanted nothing more than to grind Lu Ming's bones to dust. He launched an even more violent attack. What are you shouting for? Would shouting louder increase one's combat strength? Peak of the 6th level of the spirit god realm. Just this bit of combat strength is really disappointing. It's time to end this. Lu Ming laughed disdainfully. Brr. The 9 dragons' bloodlines appeared above his head. That's his bloodline? It seems to be the legendary 9 dragons' bloodline, but it's only at level 8 of the divine realm. Only at level 8 of the divine realm. As soon as Lu Ming's bloodline appeared, it caused another uproar. Lu Ming turned into 9 dragons, opened his mouth and roared. His devouring power enveloped Mu Ju, causing the flaming vines to tremble. Bang, bang. The 9 dragons stepped forward and executed the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping step. The violent power bombarded the flaming vines. After a few consecutive explosions, 3 of the flaming vines exploded into pieces. The 9 dragons let out a long roar and each of their claws grabbed a flaming vine. With a forceful tear, the 9 flaming vines were all torn apart and turned into flames. Bang! The divine dragon swung its tail. The 9 dragons' tails executed the hell-suppressing heavenly art and whipped the main position of the flaming vines. The roots of the flaming vines were directly sent flying and heavily crashed into the wall. Boom! Countless inscriptions flickered on the wall, but it still shook violently. Mu Ju let out a miserable scream. He was completely suppressed, completely crushed. After Lu Ming executed the bloodline fusion, he completely crushed Muju. Swish. The 9 dragons twisted their bodies and instantly appeared in front of Muju. Their dragon claws clawed out continuously. The rumbling sound was unceasing, and Muju's miserable scream was also heard, causing many people to shiver. After a dozen consecutive moves, Muju finally couldn't resist anymore. His bloodline collapsed and he reverted to his original form. At this moment, his hair was disheveled and he was vomiting blood. His body was covered in injuries and looked extremely miserable. In the crowd, Mu Feng's face was pale without a trace of blood. Muju, who had reached the peak of the 6th level spirit god realm, was defeated. He never dreamed that he would be defeated so miserably. He originally thought that he could borrow Muju's hand to cripple Lu Ming and take revenge for the day he was beaten up by Lu Ming. He never thought that such a powerful Muju would follow in his footsteps. "Bastard, you dare to hit me? You're dead." Muju roared furiously. He hated Lu Ming to the bone. After today Muju, would definitely become the laughing stock of the Southern Divine Palace. The 9 dragons shrunk and Lu Ming reverted to his human form. His eyes were cold as he kicked Muju's face. Muju screamed as his head heavily hit the wall. His face was deformed. "How dare you threaten me? Do you believe that I won't kill you right now?" The killing intent on Lu Ming's body was so intense that it chilled Muju's heart. Damn it! Damn it! Muju roared furiously in his heart, but he didn't dare to say another word. Lu Ming's blood-red hair fluttered and his eyes were blood-red. That killing intent was too intense and cold. He really suspected that Lu Ming would kill him if he said another word. He reached out and sucked. His vital essence swirled and the storage ring in Muju's hand flew toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming grabbed it. "Take this storage ring as your punishment. It's compensation for my mental trauma." Lu Ming slowly kept Muju's storage ring. You can't do this." Muju wailed. Muju wailed. That storage ring was all of his savings. Also, what mental damage compensation? Speaking of compensation, shouldn't he be the one who should be compensated? Why was he beaten so badly? Do you want to die? Lu Ming's blood-red eyes narrowed. Muju didn't dare to utter a word. However, his body was trembling slightly due to anger. "Get lost," Lu Ming said faintly as he turned around and left. If this happened in the Divine Desolate Continent, he would have been slapped to death by Lu Ming. However, this was the Divine Ruins Continent after all. Lu Ming had just arrived here, so he was merciful. Muju glared at Lu Ming with hatred. He staggered to his feet and walked towards the portal. "Cousin, wait for me." Mu Feng's legs were trembling in fear. He quickly followed Muju and left this place. "Brother Pang, here's the sword-shaped stone you wanted." Lu Ming walked towards Pang Yuan and passed the sword-shaped stone to him. "Haha, Brother Lu's combat strength is really admirable. Muju, that arrogant and despotic fellow, finally kicked an iron plate today." Pang Yuan laughed and passed the fire spiritual root to Lu Ming. "Brother Pang, you're too polite," Lu Ming said. Both of them were happy with their gains. Interesting. Chapter 1208. The auction continued. Following this, the others went up and took out their treasures. "I have 2 ancient mines of the godly ruins too. I'm not sure if anyone needs them." A while later, another young man went up and took out 2 yellow ancient mines of the godly ruins. Xian Yanqing raised his eyebrows when the young man took out the 2 ancient mines of the godly ruins. "Lu Ming, I can sense something in one of the mines." Xian Yanqing transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. "Shao Qing, you can sense it?" Lu Ming was surprised. "Lu Ming, there is indeed something in one of the mines that is suitable for the girl. That's why she sensed it. However, it's not too valuable." Dandan transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded and decided to buy it. Just like before, buying the ancient mines of the godly ruins was like a gamble. Almost no one bid. "I'm quite curious about the ancient mines of the godly ruins since it's my first time here. I'll buy these 2 ancient mines for 100,000 primal stones and study them," Lu Ming said casually. It seemed like he had bought the 2 ancient mines purely out of curiosity. After Lu Ming spoke, no one else spoke. The young man was slightly depressed. The previous 3 ancient mines of the godly ruins had been sold for 5 million primal stones, but his 2 ancient mines were only sold for 100,000 primal stones? After waiting for a while, seeing that no one else was bidding, he had no choice but to sell them to Lu Ming for 100,000 primal stones. Lu Ming handed the primal stones to the young man and kept the 2 ancient mines, but he did not go down. Instead, he scanned the crowd and said, "Lu Ming would like to buy the royal bloodstone 9-leaf Ganoderma, Earth Emperor Essence, and star anise mysterious ice grass. If you have these materials, feel free to state your conditions. Lu Ming will try his best to fulfill them. Royal Bloodstone, Earth Emperor Essence. The others were startled. These 4 materials are extremely valuable. Their value is comparable to the fire spiritual root. In fact, the star anise mysterious ice grass is even more valuable. That's right, I've only heard of these 4 herbs and materials, but I've never seen them before. The others discussed among themselves. Almost all of them shook their heads, indicating that they did not. Royal Bloodstone, I have one. Right at this moment, a clear and melodious voice sounded. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he looked towards the source of the sound. The one who spoke was the stunning woman in the fiery red dress. Is Ji Hongqian? Someone whispered. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This woman was indeed Ji Hongqian. Yichuan had mentioned one of the 3 strongest prodigies of the younger generation of Southern God Palace. Miss Ji, you have the royal bloodstone? Lu Ming looked expectant. Ji Hongqian's palm glowed and a dark red stone appeared. This stone looked like a blood-red jade, but strangely, there was a pleasant fragrance coming from it. It really is the royal bloodstone. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Miss Ji, what treasure do you need to exchange royal bloodstones for? See if I have it on me. If I don't, I'll definitely think of a way to get it. Lu Ming said. Brother Lu, this is your first time in the ruins of God. Since you're a guest, I don't need to exchange for any treasure. Brother Lu can buy it with origin stones. 30 million origin stones it is. Ji Hongqian said. 30 million? Lu Ming was slightly taken aback. It was not because it was too expensive but because it was too cheap. A rare treasure like the royal bloodstone belonged to the top of level 9. It was rare in the world and its real price was definitely more than 30 million. Miss Ji, 30 million origin stones is a great bargain for me. Lu Ming said. Brother Lu, you're a guest. Just treat it as a friend. Ji Hongqian smiled and was very forthright. Everyone knew that Ji Hongqian's attitude was because of Lu Ming's strength. If Lu Ming's battle strength was weak, Ji Hongqian would not have bothered with him. However, Lu Ming's strength had attracted Ji Hongqian's attention, which was why he wanted to befriend him. Thank you, Miss Ji. Lu Ming was not a shy person. He took out a storage ring, put 30 million origin stones in it, and handed it to Ji Hongqian. Ji Hongqian handed the royal bloodstone to Lu Ming. After putting away the royal bloodstone, Lu Ming returned to his seat in a good mood. Today's harvest was not bad. Next, more people took out treasures to exchange, but Xian Yanqing and Lu Ming were not interested. After looking for a while, Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing stood up and left. They went to the 5th floor and said goodbye to Yichuan. They left the treasure exchange building and returned to their residence in the General Peak. In the room, Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing entered the mountain river diagram and sat cross-legged on a mountain peak. An ancient mine of the ruins of God floated between the two of them. This was the one that Xian Yanqing could sense. Lu Ming's true essence condensed into a true essence blade and slashed at the ancient mine of the ruins of God. The ancient mine of the ruins of God was very hard, even harder than many metals. However, it was easily cut open by Lu Ming's true essence blade. Suddenly, a wisp of black demonic chi spread out. There's really something. Lu Ming's expression changed. This ancient mine of the ruins of God was really mysterious. There was something sealed in it. Crack. In the end, the ancient mine of the ruins of God cracked open and a drop of dark red blood appeared. A dense demonic light soared into the sky. This is the blood of an expert that was sealed in the ancient mine of the ruins of God. Lu Ming was inwardly shocked. Legend had it that the ancient mine of the ruins of God did not come from the ruins of God. Some people guessed that it came from beyond the heavens. There was a great battle between experts and treasures, blood, and essence blood splashed onto the ancient mine of the ruins of God. Due to various reasons, some treasures and blood were sealed in the ancient mine of the ruins of God and preserved after a long period of time. The owner of this drop of blood is an expert who cultivates the demonic path. Although many years have passed and the power of this drop of blood is not much, it is still very useful to me. If I refine it, my cultivation will definitely increase. Xian Yanqing said. Well, little Qing, then hurry up and refine it, lest the energy dissipates. Lu Ming said. Xian Yanqing nodded, and a bloodline appeared on his head. He formed a seal with both hands, attracting a drop of blood to his hand and began to refine it. Lu Ming estimated that it would take at least a few days for Xian Yanqing to refine a drop of demonic blood. Lu Ming came to a nearby mountain and took out the remaining ancient mines of the ruins of God. 3 of them were bought by Mu Ju, but his storage ring was taken by Lu Ming, so the 3 ancient mines of the ruins of God naturally fell into Lu Ming's hands. One of them was the one that Dandan sensed had a treasure. Lu Ming put it aside and cut the other 3 ancient mines of the ruins of God one by one. There was indeed nothing inside, just 3 pieces of ore that were useless. Lu Ming looked at the last ancient mine and cut it with the blade of true origin. Suddenly, a blazing aura spread out from the ancient mine of the ruins of God. Lu Ming was overjoyed and cut open the ancient mine completely. This is a weapon fragment. Chapter 1209. This weapon fragment was only the size of a fingernail, but it was filled with a blazing aura like a ball of raging flames. This must be the weapon fragment of a supreme powerhouse. It contains a strong fire energy. If I extract it and refine it, my fire concept will definitely improve greatly. Lu Ming pondered and was a little tempted. He then circulated his true yuan and wrapped it around the weapon fragment, beginning to extract it. As Lu Ming continued to condense, a flame was extracted from the weapon fragment and jumped on Lu Ming's fingertip. Refine. His true yuan wrapped around the flame and began to refine it. On the other hand, Lu Ming closed his eyes and carefully sensed the power of fire in it, improving his fire concept. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed. In more than 10 days, Lu Ming had completely refined the ball of flame. Fire concept, peak 4th level greater mastery. Lu Ming opened his eyes and a ball of flame flashed through his eyes. The pinnacle of level 4 greater mastery was only a step away from level 4 perfection. Boom. A demonic aura surged from a nearby mountain, and a demonic aura soared into the sky. Peak of the 4th level of the spirit god realm. Little Qing's cultivation has improved greatly as well. Lu Ming revealed a smile on his face. When he first met Xian Yanqing in the 9 underworlds, Xian Yanqing had just broken through to the 3rd level spirit god. Later on, after receiving Xian Yanqing's inheritance and cultivating for a period of time, Xian Yanqing's cultivation had already reached the 4th level spirit god. However, he was only at the early 4th level spirit god. Obviously, Xian Yanqing had refined that drop of demonic blood in this half a month, and his cultivation had directly reached the peak 4th level spirit god. However, although the energy of that drop of demonic blood had been completely refined, Xian Yanqing was still cultivating. Lu Ming felt that the heavenly demon concept was restless in Xian Yanqing's body. Little Qing wants to take this opportunity to break through the heavenly demon concept in one go. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He knew Xian Yanqing's plan. That drop of demon blood also contained a strong demonic intent realm, which had greatly affected Xian Yanqing. It was normal for him to have a breakthrough in his intent realm. Lu Ming didn't disturb Xian Yanqing. A section of heavenly thunder wood appeared in his hand. Lu Ming planned to use the heavenly thunder wood to continue cultivating and comprehend the concept of thunder. Similar to refining the weapon fragment earlier, Lu Ming first extracted a strand of lightning from the heavenly thunder wood, then refined this strand of lightning to improve his lightning concept. In the blink of an eye, another dozen days passed. In total, Lu Ming had been in seclusion for a month. Lu Ming had also completely refined a wisp of thunder. His thunder concept had also reached the peak of the 4th level in one fell swoop. The heavenly thunder wood that he bought for 5 million origin stones could allow his concept of thunder to reach the peak of the 4th level of large success. Swoosh. A figure stepped on the air and appeared in front of Lu Ming. It was Xian Yanqing. Little Qing, your intent realm has broken through? Lu Ming asked. Yes, the heavenly demon intent has reached the peak of the 4th level of large success. Unfortunately, I'm only one step away from reaching the peak of the 4th level. Xian Yanqing said. This time she had gained a lot. Her cultivation was only one step away from breaking through to the 5th level of Spirit God. That ancient mine of God is really amazing. I reckon that there must be a supreme expert who cultivated the demonic Tao who was killed. Their flesh and blood scattered, and some of them were sealed in the ancient mine of God. Xian Yanqing said. Lu Ming nodded. He was also very curious about the ancient mine of God. Woo woo woo. At this moment a cry sounded in the sky. The cry sounded very sad and mournful. This made Lu Ming's expression change drastically. This cry definitely did not come from the mountain and river diagram, but from the outside world. However, the mountain and river diagram was a heavenly abode treasure. It formed a world of its own and was isolated from the outside world. Sound could not be transmitted in at all. But how did this sound come in? Obviously, Xian Yanqing also thought of this and his expression changed. Swoosh. Dandan flew over from afar and appeared on Lu Ming's shoulder. He said, What's the crying sound? It's so unpleasant to hear, and it even came here? It's coming from outside. Let's go out and take a look, Lu Ming said. With a thought, Lu Ming, Xianyanqing, and Dandan came out of the mountain and river diagram together. As soon as they came out of the mountain and river diagram, the crying sound became even clearer. It came from the east. The two of them went out of the room and came to the courtyard. That's... Lu Ming and Xianyanqing looked to the east and their eyes widened in shock. At this time it was night. The world was dark and the moon and stars could not be seen. But in the east the sky was blood red. It was like the sunset, but it was not sunset. The light rushed out from the ground and dyed the sky red. And the mournful crying sound came from that direction. Lu Ming and Xianyanqing flew out of the courtyard and into the sky. They could see more clearly. At this moment the sky above the southern divine palace was full of people, all looking to the east. Tuobashir, do you know what's going on? Tuobashir was beside the two of them. Lu Ming asked. General Lu. Tuobashir cupped his fists and said, during this period of time I specially asked around. As far as I know, that direction is the direction of the ruins of God. I heard that there will be such a phenomenon every year in the ruins of God. The sky will be dyed red and there will be cries. Ruins of God. Lu Ming and Xianyanqing were slightly surprised. They did not expect such a phenomenon to come from the ruins of God. The ruins of God is very mysterious. It contains treasures like the ancient mine of the ruins of God, but it is also very dangerous. There is no danger outside the ruins of God, but it is very dangerous inside, especially in the core area. There have been emperors who have entered, but they have never come out. Tuobashir said. This made Lu Ming and Xianyanqing even more surprised. It was indeed shocking that even emperors could not come out. At this time the crying sound suddenly disappeared, but it was followed by a kind of sacrificial sound. It was very grand and solemn. Listening carefully, it was like a war song. Cultivate my battle spear, kill the 9 heavens, slaughter the foreign races, return my mountains and rivers. Vaguely, Lu Ming seemed to have heard these words. They were filled with grief and emotions of facing death with equanimity. Vaguely, Lu Ming seemed to hear the sound of a dragon's roar, shaking heaven and earth. Lu Ming was shocked. What was in the ruins of God? Lu Ming was incomparably curious. This strange phenomenon lasted for an entire night. It was only when the sun rose the next day that the strange phenomenon disappeared. At this time Lu Ming saw many people flying towards the east. Are they going to the ruins of God? Lu Ming was a little surprised. Yes, they are indeed going to the ruins of God. It is said that there will be a phenomenon in the ruins of God every year, but after a period of time, the ruins of God will be the safest. The ruins of God are divided into the outer area, the inner area, and the core area by the people of Southern God Palace. Usually the outer area is not dangerous, but the inner area is full of danger. If you are not careful, even supremes will fall, and the core area, even emperors will not be able to come out. But after a period of time, the inner area will become much safer. As long as your luck is not too bad, you will not be in great danger. You can go in to look for treasures and ancient mines of the ruins of God. Chapter 12:10. General Lu, why don't we go to the ruins of God to take a look? Tuobashir said. Alright, the ruins of God is the most famous wonder in the continent of God. Since we're here, how can we not go? Let's go. Lu Ming said with a smile. Immediately Lu Ming, Xianyanqing, and Tuobashir flew towards the east. Along the way they saw many people flying towards the east. For example, Long Qin, an underworld child of the divine wilderness continent, were also flying towards the east. On the continent of God there were several ruins of God and they were all very famous. There was only one near the South God Palace, which was more than 50,000 miles east of the South God Palace. More than 50,000 miles was soon reached. How wonderful and spectacular! Lu Ming and the others stood in the air and looked into the distance, full of amazement. What entered their eyes was an endless stretch of ruins. Yes, it was really ruins. Endless rocks, endless broken palaces, broken mountains, and broken pavilions were scattered on the boundless land in front of them. It was as if there was a rich country in the sky that fell from the sky and smashed into the ground, forming a stretch of ruins. Some people speculate that the ruins of God is another world. There was a fierce battle and the space cracked open and fell here. Tuobashir said. Another world? Could it be the heavenly realm? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He had once been to a small island in the heavenly realm and learned some unknown secrets. The heavenly realm and the primordial realm were twin worlds. Other than these two worlds there were no other worlds. Moreover, it seemed that there was a fierce battle in the heavenly realm. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One figure after another rushed into the vast ruins of God. "Let's go in and take a look too," Lu Ming said. The three of them also flew into the ruins of God. The ruins of God was vast and boundless, covering an extremely large area. Right now they were at the periphery of the ruins of God. Looking up, Lu Ming saw a huge palace that had fallen to the ground in ruins, filled with the aura of ancient times. He also saw an enormous ancient city, which was also extremely dilapidated and deformed. It is said that a long time ago, there were many ancient mines in the outer regions of the ruins of God. However, after so many years, the ancient mines in the outer regions of the ruins of God have long been excavated. Only the inner regions still have ancient mines. Tuobashir said. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing nodded. The three of them did not stop and continued to fly forward. After a while, the three of them arrived at the interior of the ruins of God. At this point, the three of them landed and did not fly in the sky. That was because the inner region was filled with danger, especially when flying in the air. The speed was too fast, and once one encountered danger, it would be too late to dodge. Furthermore, Lu Ming also wanted to look around and see if he could find the ruins of God ancient mine. Why do I feel so familiar with this place? It's like I've seen it before. Dandan's eyes darted around as she mumbled. You've really seen it? Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he transmitted a message to Dandan. I think I've seen it before, but I can't remember it clearly. Strange, it seems that the more important something is, the more I can't remember it. Dandan muttered as if he was recalling carefully. Lu Ming was speechless. Dandan, this guy always dropped the ball at the crucial moment. The three of them slowed down and carefully sensed the ruins to see if they could find the ruins of God ancient mine. What a huge palace. Xian Yanqing looked ahead and revealed a look of surprise. In front of them, there was a huge dilapidated palace that smashed onto the ground. It was dilapidated, but it could be seen that the original palace must be extremely tall and majestic. Lu Ming, I seem to have a feeling that there seems to be an ancient mine of the ruins of God here. Xian Yanqing said. Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming said. The three of them carefully rushed into the ruins of the palace and carefully examined it. Finally they came to a remote corner. Xian Yanqing sensed that there seemed to be something under the ground in this corner that was resonating with her. Let me dig it out. A big axe condensed by qi appeared in Tuobashir's hand and he began to hack at the ground. The soil of the ruins was very hard, and it was very difficult for Tuobashir to dig. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing also joined in the excavation. The three of them worked together to clear out the ruins and dug a big pit that was dozens of meters deep. Sure enough, they found a few pieces of the ruins of God ancient mine in the big pit. Haha, there are a few pieces of the ruins of God ancient mine here. It's really easy to find them without any effort. At this moment there was a loud laugh. Figures flashed and three figures appeared, looking down at Lu Ming and the other two in the deep pit. The three of them were all young men with strong auras and a faint arrogance on their faces. Now this place belongs to us. The three of you can go. One of the bald young men said. His tone was full of a commanding tone. The three of you, we found this place first and we also worked hard to dig it out. Don't you think it's too much to ask us to leave as soon as you come? Tuobashir said. The three of them clearly wanted to rob them halfway. Too much? I don't think it's already a great mercy for us to let you go and keep your lives. Why aren't you scramming? We don't have so much time to waste here. After digging out these pieces of the ruins of God ancient mine, we still have to go to other places. The bald young man berated coldly. Tuobashir's face was gloomy and ugly and he said, You want us to leave with just one sentence? What a joke. Kid, you talk too much nonsense. You don't have to leave now. Bang. As soon as the bald young man finished speaking, he took a step forward and pounced towards Tuobashir like an eagle pouncing on its prey. At the same time he threw a punch at Tuobashir. Do you think I'm afraid of you? A mace appeared in Tuobashir's hand and he shouted loudly. His aura surged out violently, and the mace whistled towards the bald young man. 4th level Spirit God. In the past month, Tuobashir's cultivation had finally broken through and reached the 4th level of the Spirit God realm. Bang. The bald young man's fist and Tuobashir's mace collided heavily. A loud bang resounded, and Tuobashir's expression changed drastically. Even with his cultivation at the 4th level of the Spirit God realm, it was difficult for him to resist. He retreated with a bang and spat out a mouthful of blood. Die. A ruthless expression flashed in the bald young man's eyes, and he threw a punch at Tuoba Shir's heart. Heavenly Demon Force Field. A delicate shout resounded, and a force field formed and enveloped the bald young man, causing his speed to decrease greatly. At the same time, Xian Yanqing's figure charged out and slapped out with his palm, and it collided with the bald young man's fist. With a bang, Xian Yanqing and the bald young man retreated at the same time. "Little Qing, are you alright?" Lu Ming looked at Xian Yanqing. He could tell that the bald young man's cultivation was at the early stage of the 5th level of the spirit god realm, and he was slightly stronger than Xian Yanqing. However, Xian Yanqing's combat strength was extremely strong. Even if his cultivation was slightly weaker, he should be able to fight the bald young man. "I'm fine." Xian Yanqing shook his head and said, "Lu Ming, leave this person to me. You have to be careful of those two." Chapter 12:11. "Don't worry, it's just 2 early-stage 6th-level spirit gods," Lu Ming said. The remaining 2 had reached the 6th-level spirit god realm. "Little girl, you dare to stop me? You're courting death." The bald youth shouted as his true essence surged and pounced at Xian Yanqing. Black lotuses appeared beside Xian Yanqing and formed sharp lotus swords. Together with the heavenly demon force field, Xian Yanqing fought with the bald youth. The 2 of them were evenly matched and it was difficult to determine the winner. This little girl's combat strength is not bad. She has such combat strength at the peak of the 4th-level spirit god realm. It's really rare. One of the 2 remaining youths said. "Indeed, but her cultivation is too weak. There's still a 5th-level spirit god kid. Leave him to me." After speaking, one of the youth's figure flashed and pounced at Lu Ming. He was as fast as lightning and his palm was like a blade as he slashed at Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming didn't move at all. He didn't even look at him and similarly slashed at the other party with his palm. Bang! The 2 palms collided. Lu Ming didn't move but the other party's figure flew back. "You have some combat strength. Looks like I won't be able to take you down if I don't use my full strength." The youth's eyes turned cold and serious. A spear appeared in his hand and flickered with a sharp aura. Whoosh! He and the spear became one and stabbed at Lu Ming. Dragon power erupted from Lu Ming's body as Lu Ming continued to strike with his palm. Clang! Lu Ming attacked later but arrived first. His palm was like lightning and slashed at the spear. Boom! The spear vibrated continuously. The other party's expression changed drastically as his body trembled and flew back again. This time, not only him, but the other youth's expression also turned serious. Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the 5th-level spirit god realm, but the combat strength he erupted with was shocking. He actually easily repelled existences at the 6th-level spirit god realm again and again. They weren't ordinary spirit gods but top geniuses. Treasures are obtained by those with strength. Since you have the strength, then these few ancient mines of the ruins of God will be yours. Zhan Luo, let's go. One of the young men spoke and in the end he was speaking to the bald young man. Lu Ming's battle prowess made them feel that it was unfathomable. It was not worthwhile to fight with Lu Ming for a few pieces of the ruins of God ancient mines. Bang! After exchanging a blow with Xian Yanqing, the bald youth flew backwards. "As soon as you arrived you injured my friend. Now, you want to leave after saying those words? Ah, who do you think we are?" Lu Ming sneered. His aura rose and a cold light flashed in his eyes. "Brat, we've already taken the initiative to retreat. What else do you want? Do you really think that we're afraid of you just because we've defeated the entire continent?" The bald youth shouted. "You are from Zhanping continent?" Tuoba Shir let out a cry of surprise. Fighting the continent to a draw? Lu Ming's heart stirred. There were a total of 42 continents in the Ruins of God continent group. Of course, there were strong and weak continents. Although the Divine Wilderness continent was not at the bottom of the Ruins of God continent group, it was still in the bottom 10. And the Divine Wilderness continent was truly number 1. Other than the Divine Wilderness continent, the Zhanping continent was also very strong and ranked in the top 10. It was also the only 2 continents in the Southern God Palace's 9 continents that were in the top 10. And the 3 young men in front of him were from the Zhanping continent. No wonder they were full of arrogance. No wonder they were so strong. 2 of them had reached the 6th-level spirit god realm. Seeing Tuoba Shir's surprised expression, the bald youth and the other 2 revealed a smug look. "I don't care which continent you are from. If you don't leave something behind today, don't even think about leaving." Lu Ming continued to speak as he walked forward. The bald youth and the other 2 had ugly expressions as they approached. "You want to do this the hard way? Let's see what you're capable of." The young man who attacked Lu Ming earlier had a cold look in his eyes. A long spear appeared above his head. He used bloodline fusion and turned into a long spear. A terrifying sharp force spread out and pierced holes in the void. Whoosh! The long spear slashed down and pierced towards Lu Ming. Kill. Lu Ming's third bloodline appeared and a wisp of energy poured in. Lu Ming roared as killing intent surged out like a tide. He punched out. Clang. The fist hit the long spear, causing it to vibrate and fly back. This shocked the other young men from the Jianghu continent. Let's attack together. Another young man at the 6th level spirit god realm shouted as a battle sword appeared above his head. He turned into a battle sword and slashed towards Lu Ming. Needless to say, their bloodlines were all at the 9th level of the divine realm. Boom. Boom. Lu Ming threw out 2 consecutive punches, hitting the long spear and the battle sword. The long spear and the battle sword were both sent flying and kept vibrating. How can he be so strong? The bald man's expression changed drastically. He was shocked. Lu Ming and he were both at the 5th level of the spirit god realm. However, he felt that if he fought with Lu Ming, he wouldn't even be able to block one of Lu Ming's moves. Lu Ming was too strong. Lu Ming strolled out and attacked continuously. Both of his fists were swinging out continuously. Terrifying power erupted and bombarded the combat sword and the long spear continuously. Clang, clang. The sound of iron being struck rang out. The battle sword and the long spear were vibrating non-stop. So strong. Is this General Lu's battle strength? He's too strong. Tuoba sure widened his eyes in shock. Back then, Lu Ming defeated him in one move when they were at the same level. He was already convinced. Now that he saw Lu Ming going all out, he admired him even more. Lu Ming didn't use bloodline fusion. He kept punching with both fists. Each of his punches contained the powerful power of the suppressing Hell Heaven art. Since he got the suppressing Hell Steel fragment, his suppressing Hell Heaven art had become stronger and stronger. Even if he used the same amount of Zhenyuan, the power was much stronger than before. However, he felt that the power of the suppressing Hell Heaven art could be even stronger. There was still a lot of potential that hadn't been discovered. Lu Ming was comprehending as he fought. The speed of his punches became slower and slower. However, each of his punches seemed to suppress and confine everything in the world. It seemed slow, but it was actually extremely fast. He forced his opponent to meet him head-on. Clang, clang, clang. Explosions rang out continuously. The battle sword and the long spear vibrated more and more violently. In the end, they exploded with 2 bangs and turned back into their human forms. Their faces were pale and they spat out blood. Their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Both of them were at the early 6th level of the spirit god realm. Their cultivation was higher than Lu Ming's. However, they were completely suppressed by Lu Ming and were seriously injured. How was this possible? Who are you? Are you a peerless genius of the Southern Divine Palace? One of the young men asked. They suspected that Lu Ming was a peerless genius cultivated by the Southern Divine Palace. Only an overlord of the godly ruins continent like the Southern Divine Palace could cultivate such a powerful genius. You want to know who I am? You're not qualified. You leave your storage ring and get lost. Chapter 12:12. The faces of the 3 youths from Jianghu mainland were ugly, especially the bald youth. Lu Ming actually wanted him to leave behind his storage ring? Friend, don't go too far. We have stronger geniuses from Jianghu mainland. Going too far won't do anyone any good. The bald man said. The storage ring was all he had. Nonsense, I'm not handing it over. Leave him behind. Lu Ming scolded and walked towards Jianghu mainland. A cold murderous intent covered Jianghu's body, causing him to break out in cold sweat. Jean Luo, leave the ring. Another youth from Jianghu mainland said. In the end, Jianghu had no choice but to take off his storage ring and throw it to Lu Ming. Let's wait and see. One of Jianghu mainland's youths left a ruthless sentence and then the 3 of them left dejectedly. Tuobashir, this ring is for you. Lu Ming threw the bald youth's storage ring to Tuobashir. I can't take this. Tuobashir waved his hand repeatedly. Why are you being so polite with me? Take this as compensation for your injuries. Lu Ming said with a smile. Tuobashir finally kept it, and there was a trace of emotion in his eyes. Then they dug out a few pieces of ancient Minds of God. There were a total of 5 pieces of ancient Minds of God, and they all looked the same. They were yellow like gold ore, but the material was not gold. They were hundreds of times more valuable than gold. Of course, for them, even if it was tens of thousands of times more valuable than gold, it was useless to them, unless it was a precious refining material. However, this kind of yellow ore seemed to have no other use except for its special sealing ability. Shaoqing, you can sense this ancient mine of God, which means that it contains something useful to you. You can keep it, Lu Ming said. Xianyanqing nodded and kept the 5 pieces of ancient mines of God. Then the few of them searched carefully and found nothing else, so they left the place. Next, the 3 of them searched many places, but unfortunately, they did not find any other ancient mines of God. Follow me, there might be an ancient mine of God ahead. Dandan sprinted forward. In front of him was a huge stone forest. At a glance, there were stone pillars. Some of the stone pillars were as thick as mountains, while others were as thin as sticks. Lu Ming and the other 2 followed Dandan into the stone forest and carefully sensed their surroundings. Dandan's eyes spun around, and in the end, he sensed something in a certain place. The few of them dug out a large pit, and sure enough, they found a few more ruins of God ancient mines. This place is very magical. Let's take a look again, Lu Ming said. The group continued to venture deeper into the stone forest. Suddenly, a booming sound rang out, and the 3 of them saw the stone pillars before them explode one by one. Rubble flew everywhere as a figure flew over. That figure had clearly been knocked flying by someone, and crashed into the stone pillars one after another. That was why those stone pillars had exploded. Bang! In the end, the figure crashed into a stone pillar as large as a mountain not far from Lu Ming and the others. It only came to a stop after smashing half of the stone pillar. That's Long Chen. The 3 of them narrowed their eyes and were shocked. That figure was actually Long Chen. At this moment, Long Chen spat out a mouthful of blood and also saw Lu Ming and the others. Let's go! Long Chen roared. Swoosh, swoosh. Silhouettes flickered and appeared one after another. Powerful auras shrouded the entire stone forest. Among these people, there were middle-aged people and also white-haired old men. The auras released from their bodies were very shocking. The weakest were at the 8th level of the spirit god realm. There were also 9th level spirit gods, and there were even perfected spirit gods. Long Chen, let's see how you'll die today. An arrogant voice sounded. 2 young men stepped out. Mu Feng, Mu Ju. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes. One of the 2 young men was Mu Feng, and the other was Mu Ju. The one who spoke just now was Mu Feng. At this moment, Mu Feng and Mu Ju turned their eyes and also saw Lu Ming and the others. Haha, Lu Ming, it's you guys. What a coincidence. I originally planned to kill Long Chen before looking for you guys. I didn't expect to meet you guys here. Haha, then I'll kill you guys together and save myself the trouble of looking for you guys. Mu Ju saw Lu Ming and let out a crazy laugh. Lu Ming's mind turned and he could roughly guess what had happened. It seemed like Mu Feng and Mu Ju were harboring hatred in their hearts and led experts to kill them in the ruins of God. The first person they encountered was Long Chen. They planned to kill Long Chen before going to kill Lu Ming and the others. However, they didn't expect that Lu Ming and the others would also come here. Kill them. Mu Ju roared. Boom. An old man appeared above Lu Ming and the others. A vast aura erupted and a huge fireball appeared in his palm. No, it wasn't a fireball but a huge meteorite. Great Circle Spiritual God. Not good retreat. Lu Ming's pupils shrank. The old man's aura was too shocking. He was a Great Circle Spiritual God. Without any hesitation, they frantically retreated. Boom. The moment they retreated, the meteorite came crashing down at an incredible speed. Get out of my way. At this moment, the 8 dragon energies in Lu Ming's body erupted and his 3rd bloodline appeared. In an instant, Lu Ming threw out dozens of punches. Each punch was powerful and he hoped to weaken the meteorite's power. Heavenly Demon Force Field. Xianyanqing used the Heavenly Demon Force Field to weaken the meteorite's power. Boom. The meteor exploded and a violent energy spread out in all directions. Lu Ming and Xianyanqing retreated thousands of meters at high speed. They crashed into more than 10 huge stone pillars before they managed to stop themselves. Little Qing, are you all right? Lu Ming asked with concern. I'm fine. Xianyanqing shook her head. Her body was surrounded by the Heavenly Demon Force Field, which weakened the meteorite's power. She was fine. Oh no, Tuobashir. Lu Ming's expression changed. He did not see Tuobashir beside him. Soon, the smoke and dust dissipated and the scene in front of them became clear. Tuobashir also managed to block the attack. However, he was sent flying in another direction. That direction was closer to Mu Ju and the others. Bam! Tuobashir stood up from the rubble and blood flowed out of his mouth. Although he blocked the force, he was obviously injured. Tuobashir, run! Lu Ming shouted. Haha, you can't run away. Muju laughed. His figure flashed and he pounced on Tuobashir at lightning speed. Tuobashir's cultivation was originally 2 realms lower than Muju's. Coupled with the fact that he was injured at the moment, Muju was able to grab his throat without any resistance. Lu Ming, kneel down and beg me. Otherwise I'll kill your friend immediately. Muju laughed and looked at Lu Ming proudly. Lu Ming, run. Don't worry about me. Chapter 12-13. Shut up. Muju's eyes turned cold as he cut off Tuobashir's arm like a knife. Tuobashir let out a beast-like roar. Muju. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes were incomparably cold and filled with killing intent. He stared at Muju and said, I'll kill you and make you die a miserable death. Ah, Lu Ming, are you joking? Kill me? Today I've mobilized so many experts of the Mu clan. Do you think you can escape? All of you will die. Muju laughed out loud, extremely arrogant. Kill them. In the end, Muju waved his hand and gave the order. Kill. Die, brat. Cold shouts could be heard and terrifying auras erupted. Their vital essence boiled and terrifying murderous intents shrouded Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing and Long Chen. The archaic dragonesque elephant appeared on Long Chen's body and he turned into a giant elephant as big as a mountain. The archaic dragonesque elephant let out a long roar and took a step forward. An 8th-level spirit god expert's expression changed drastically as he screamed miserably and his body was torn apart. Then the elephant swung its trunk and a 9th-level spirit god expert spat out blood and was sent flying in horror. Previously, one of their perfected spirit god experts suddenly attacked Long Chen and sent him flying. They thought that Long Chen was only SOSO. They didn't expect Long Chen to be so terrifying when he exploded. Xiaoqing, help me. Lu Ming shouted as the 9 dragons' bloodline appeared above his head. Lu Ming transformed into 9 dragons. He stepped on the void and dashed toward Muju. Muju's expression changed drastically as he carried Tuobashir and retreated. He shouted, kill him for me. Swoosh, swoosh. In an instant, 5 or 6 experts rushed towards Lu Ming. The weakest among them was at the 8th-level spirit god realm. Heavenly Demon Force Field. Xian Yanqing also used the bloodline fusion and turned into a peerless heavenly demon. He pressed his jade-like hands and a powerful heavenly demon force field erupted. The expressions of those 8th and even 9th-level spirit god experts changed one after another. This was because they were all obstructed by the heavenly demon force field, especially those at the 8th level of the spirit god realm. Devour. The 9 dragons roared, and the power of devouring erupted, enveloping the 5 or 6 experts, weakening their battle prowess once again. Bang, bang, bang. Then the 9 dragons stepped out. Oh no! A few shrill cries resounded out successively as a few 8th-level spirit god realm experts were split into pieces under the 9 dragons' claws, and they perished on the spot. Bang, bang. The 2 9th-level spirit god realm experts retreated madly as well, and they spat out large mouthfuls of blood while their countenances were ghastly pale. Kill. The 9 dragons roared as they took a few steps forward. Their 2 dragon claws clawed at the 2 9th-layer spirit god realm experts. The might of the hell-suppressing heaven art erupted, making it impossible for them to dodge. Help! The 2 experts at the 9th level of the spirit god realm roared loudly with terror, and then they executed their bloodline fusion techniques and erupted with all their strength to resist. However, it was useless. Under the 9 dragons' dragon claw, his bloodline collapsed. When he returned to his human form, he was torn apart by the dragon claw. The power of devouring erupted and completely devoured the blood essence energy of the spirit god realm experts. Mu Ju and Mu Feng were almost scared out of their wits and they retreated madly. This was too terrifying and too shocking. Long Chen and Lu Ming had erupted with power, and they could kill 8th-level spirit god realm experts like they were slaughtering chickens. Even 9th-level spirit god realm experts were dead. They were only at the 5th level of the spirit god realm, so how could they be so terrifying? Bastard, you're courting death. An explosive shout resounded as a white-haired old man stepped out and struck out with his palm. Surging lava roiled in his palm, and it condensed into a meteorite that blasted towards Lu Ming. Perfect spirit god realm. The perfect spirit god realm expert attacked again. Bang. A perfect spirit god realm expert was too powerful, and his battle prowess was several times stronger than a 9th-level spirit god realm expert. His true essence erupted, and with a shake, it shattered Xian Yanqing's heavenly demon force field. Xian Yanqing's delicate body trembled, and she retreated repeatedly with a pale face. Bang, 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 bang. The 9 dragon claws stepped out continuously, bombarding the meteorite, and 9 explosions resounded. With each explosion, Lu Ming retreated a few steps. After 9 explosions, Lu Ming retreated repeatedly, and his dragon body trembled. Lu Ming was suppressed by a perfect spirit god realm expert in the end. Brr. On the other side, the primordial dragonesque elephant let out a long roar. Its power was incomparably powerful, and it killed several experts in succession. Even a 9th-level spirit god realm expert died in Long Chen's hands. But at this time, a perfect spirit god realm expert also attacked and suppressed Long Chen. Lu Ming, retreat quickly, don't worry about me. Tuoba Shi roared. With Lu Ming's battle prowess, if they wanted to break out of the encirclement, they might be able to break out. Lu Ming, if you break out of the encirclement, I'll kill him immediately. Mu Ju shouted. Lu Ming and Long Chen's battle prowess really scared him. If he let such powerful figures escape, he wouldn't be able to live in peace in the future. Don't even think about using me to threaten them. Even if I die, I won't die in such a cowardly manner. Tuoba Shi roared furiously. A terrifying fluctuation erupted from his body, emitting a dazzling radiance. You, lunatic! Mu Ju's expression changed drastically. He suddenly shook off Tuoba Shi and retreated frantically. Ah, let's die together. Tuoba Shi laughed and rushed towards Mu Feng and Mu Ju. Bang. Then Tuoba Shi's entire body exploded, and violent energy swept towards Mu Feng and Mu Ju. Self-explosion, Tuoba Shi self-exploded, and there was nothing left of him. 2 figures flew out. They were Mu Feng and Mu Ju. At this time, Mu Feng was incomparably miserable. Both of his arms were gone, and half of his body was blown up. His eyes were wide open, filled with unwillingness. However, his vitality was quickly dissipating, and even a deity couldn't save him. Mu Ju's cultivation was strong, and he was much better off. He only spat out a mouthful of blood. Young lord, are you all right? 2 experts appeared beside Mu Ju. I'm fine. Attack, kill them. Attack together and kill them all. Mu Ju roared. The remaining experts rushed towards Long Chen, Lu Ming, and Xian Yanqing. There were as many as 4 people in the Great Perfection Spirit God realm. The remaining people were all in the 9th-level Spirit God realm. Tuoba. At this moment, Lu Ming calmed down. However, the extremely cold killing intent in his eyes was unimaginably dense. Shaoqing, enter the mountain river diagram. Lu Ming said to Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing nodded. She knew that Lu Ming would be able to perform better if he was alone. With a roll of light, Xian Yanqing's figure was sucked into the mountain river diagram. Kill. With a loud shout, a huge stone tablet appeared. Suppressing prison steel bloodline. The 9 dragons turned into a ray of light and entered the suppressing prison steel bloodline. Buzz. The suppressing prison steel bloodline vibrated and became 10,000 feet tall, emitting a terrifying fluctuation. Especially the word, steel, at the bottom, it had a shocking energy. Bang. The suppressing prison steel suppressed a great perfection spirit god realm expert. Break. Chapter 12-14. The hell-suppressing steel collided with the meteor like 2 stars colliding, and a terrifying energy fluctuation swept out in all directions. Countless stone pillars were turned into powder by the energy fluctuation. Bang. Amidst the flaming radiance that filled the sky, the enormous meteor was blasted back violently and fiercely collided with the ground, creating a huge hole. The perfection stage spiritual god expert was no match for Lu Ming and fell into a disadvantageous position. Not far away, Mu Ju was almost scared to death. This is too terrifying. Even a perfection stage spiritual god expert is no match for him. What combat strength is this? Suppress. A cold and indifferent voice sounded out from the hell-suppressing steel and continued to suppress the enormous meteor. Swoosh. At this moment, an enormous palm blasted out from the side and blasted onto the hell-suppressing steel, blocking it for a moment. It was another perfection stage spiritual god expert. Bang. Seizing this opportunity, the enormous meteor flew out of the ground and converged with the other perfection stage spiritual god expert. Let's attack together. This person is too monstrous. An aged voice sounded out from the enormous meteor, and it was filled with dense astonishment. Attack. The other perfection stage spiritual god shouted loudly. The 2 perfection stage spiritual gods joined forces and charged towards Lu Ming. A perfection stage spiritual god was several times stronger than a 9th level spiritual god and was extremely terrifying. In a sense, a perfection stage spiritual god was already at the peak of the spiritual god realm and stood at the peak of the spiritual god realm. On the other hand, a perfection stage spiritual god was actually just a transitional stage on the way to becoming an emperor. An emperor needed to transform one's intent into a domain, whereas a sovereign had already comprehended the embryonic form of a domain but hadn't completely transformed it into a domain. Kill? Even when facing two perfection stage spiritual gods, Lu Ming's killing intent still soared into the sky. The hell-suppressing steel emitted a dazzling radiance and madly pressed down on the two. Bang! Bang! The two perfection stage spiritual gods joined forces to resist and erupted with terrifying attacks, but the result was that they were suppressed by Lu Ming and were constantly bombarded by the steel, causing them to retreat repeatedly. The two of them joined forces but were still at a disadvantage. Heaven battling Dracophant. On the other side, the archaic dragonesque elephant went berserk. Its body swelled up and dense scales covered its body. It was 30,000 meters tall and had a terrifying might that could trample mountains and rivers. Long Chen was facing two perfection stage domain enlightened spirit gods as well. At this moment, the terrifying combat strength of the primordial dragonesque mammoth was vividly displayed. He wasn't at a disadvantage at all when fighting two perfection stage domain enlightened spirit gods by himself, and he was even in an advantageous position. Perfect bloodline of one of the top 10 beasts, its power is indeed terrifying. Lu Ming sensed the situation over there and was secretly shocked. At the same time, Lu Ming was also looking forward to the 9 Dragons bloodline. Right now, the 9 Dragons bloodline was only at the 8th level of the divine realm and had yet to reach perfection. However, once the 9 Dragons bloodline reached perfection, it would definitely become even stronger and give birth to the 9th dragon force. Its power would definitely be even more terrifying. At that time, with just the 9 Dragons bloodline, his power would not be weaker than Long Chen's. When the two of them joined forces, they'd actually forcefully suppressed 4 perfection stage spirit god realm experts. How could this be? How could this be? Mu Ju muttered to himself as his eyes widened in fear. They were too strong. The strength of Lu Ming and Long Chen had far exceeded his expectations. He'd already overestimated Lu Ming enough. He'd brought 4 perfection stage spirit god realm experts along with more than 10 8th level and 9th level spirit god realm experts. With such terrifying combat strength, not only had they failed to kill Lu Ming and Long Chen, but they'd also fallen into a disadvantageous position. He'd never dreamt of this. Buzz. The prison-suppressing steel shook and repelled the 2 perfection stage spirit god realm experts. Then, it moved horizontally and killed a 9th level spirit god realm expert. Then, the prison-suppressing steel directly pressed down on a perfection stage spirit god realm expert who was fighting with Long Chen. That expert had never expected that Lu Ming would suddenly attack him. At this moment he was fighting with Long Chen with all his strength. He was caught off guard and was hit by the prison-suppressing steel. He let out a miserable cry as half of his body exploded. He only had half a breath left as he fell to the ground. Join forces, Lu Ming said. All right. Long Chen replied without the slightest hesitation. He let out a long roar and stomped out with his elephant leg that was like a heavenly pillar. The other perfection stage spirit god realm expert spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated. Buzz. Then Lu Ming pressed down and killed the perfection stage spirit god realm expert. Not good. Young master, retreat. The 2 perfection stage spirit god realm experts who were fighting with Lu Ming earlier had a drastic change in expression. Lu Ming suddenly shifted his opponent and joined forces with Long Chen to kill the 2 perfection stage spirit god realm experts. It was already too late for them to help. At this moment all they could think of was to escape. Run, run, run. Mu Ju roared in his heart as he turned around and fled madly. The 2 perfection stage spirit god realm experts followed closely behind him. There were also a few 9th level spirit god realm experts. Kill? How could Lu Ming let Mu Ju escape so easily? The huge prison-suppressing steel broke through space and charged towards Mu Ju. Bang, bang. The primordial dragonesque elephant stepped on the void, causing space to explode as he chased after Mu Ju. The distance between both sides was constantly closing. Run, run. You guys take me and run quickly. You guys go and block them. Mu Ju ordered the 2 perfection stage spirit god realm experts to take him and escape. He also ordered a few 9th level spirit god realm experts to block Lu Ming's group. The faces of the few 9th level spirit god realm experts turned red. Asking them to block Lu Ming's group? Wasn't that just courting death? They naturally didn't want to go. If you guys don't go, I'll go back and report to my father. You guys will also die. Mu Ju roared in anger. He was the young master of the Mu family. Moreover, he was extremely talented and would definitely step into the Emperor realm in the future. Therefore, he had a lot of authority. The few 9th-level Spirit God realm experts looked at each other and suddenly flew to both sides. They actually fled directly. They would die if they went to block Lu Ming's group. They would also die if they went back. They might as well run away directly. Damn traitor. Mu Ju roared and almost wet himself. The 2 perfection stage Spirit God realm experts took Mu Ju and ran at top speed. However, Lu Ming and Long Chen were getting closer and closer. Not good. Lu Ming, a Supreme Being expert, is approaching. It might be the Mu family's Supreme Being. Dandan suddenly shouted. Supreme Being. Lu Ming's face changed. With his current cultivation, he would definitely die if he went against a Supreme Being. A Supreme Being was already half a step into the Emperor realm. Once the embryonic form of the domain was released, who could compete with him? Killing a perfection stage Spirit God was as easy as eating and drinking. Lu Ming's group was no match for him. Lu Ming, retreat quickly. Otherwise it will be too late. A Supreme Being can tear space apart and travel. Dandan anxiously shouted. Lu Ming's face changed. He then shouted, Long Chen go. After saying that, Lu Ming turned around and flew away. There would be plenty of opportunities to kill Xian Yanqing in the future. However, he couldn't bring Xian Yanqing along to face a Supreme Being with him now. Although Long Chen didn't know why, seeing Lu Ming acting like this, he must have discovered something. Without hesitation, he turned around and followed Lu Ming, running wildly to the rear. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them were far away. Chapter 12-15. Mu Ju heaved a long sigh of relief after escaping with his life. His body was drenched in cold sweat. Lu Ming, Long Chen. Mu Ju gritted his teeth. This time their losses were too great. They had lost more than a dozen 8th and 9th level Spirit God realm experts and 2 great perfection Spirit God realm experts. They were all high-level Spirit God realm experts. Even if the Divine Ruins continent was filled with experts, he would still be punished by his father for losing so many of them. Rip. Suddenly the space cracked and a middle-aged man stepped out. Elder Mu Yu, it's you? Mu Ju's eyes lit up when he saw the middle-aged man. He was excited. Supreme, the Mu family's Supreme is here. He finally knew why Lu Ming and the others were in such a hurry to escape. They must have sensed the arrival of a Supreme. Young Lord, what's going on? Mu Yu frowned when she saw Mu Ju and the others in a sorry state. Someone killed the Mu family's people. Elder Mu Yu, they are in front of us. Quickly chase after them and kill them. Mu Ju shouted. Who dares to kill my Mu family's people? Courting death. Young Lord, I'll bring you with me. Let's chase after them. Mu Yu's true essence wrapped around Mu Ju and tore the space apart. She brought Mu Ju into the space and chased after Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming, what's going on? Lu Ming and Long Chen were running at full speed. A Supreme is coming. Lu Ming said. Long Chen's face changed. Although he didn't know how Lu Ming could sense the Supreme, they would die if they were to face a Supreme with their current strength. Both of them were extremely fast. They were like 2 streaks of lightning that pierced through the void. At this moment, Lu Ming had already transformed into 9 dragons. The 9 dragons stepped on the void and their speed was shocking. Long Chen's ancient dragonesque elephant might have a huge body and boundless strength, but its speed was terrifyingly fast. Every step it took caused the void to explode. It covered 1,000 li in a single step. The 2 of them were heading towards the core of the Divine Ruins. Not good. Hurry up. The Supreme is coming. Dandan urged anxiously. Quick. Lu Ming shouted. He and Long Chen erupted with all their strength and rushed forward. When Lu Ming heard that the Jizun was coming, he did not hesitate to fly towards the core of the ruins of God. If they had headed in any other direction, they definitely wouldn't have been able to escape. A Jizuan could tear through space, and no matter how fast they were, they wouldn't be able to outrun a Jizuan. They would definitely be caught. The only way to survive was the core of the ruins of God. Although the core of the ruins of God was rumored to be very dangerous, he could only take a gamble. Almost there. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The area ahead was filled with blood-red mist. Looking from afar, it looked hazy. That was the core area of the ruins of God, the legendary forbidden area. Anyone who entered would die. However, Lu Ming and Long Chen had no choice but to enter and hide temporarily. Whoosh, whoosh. Both of them were decisive people. Without any hesitation, they charged into the blood-colored area and disappeared. Rip. Just as the two of them charged into the core area, the space outside the core area cracked open. Muyu and Muju stepped out of the crack. Young master, they've entered the core area. Muyu frowned. Humph, the core area is a place where even emperors will die. They're dead for sure. It's a pity that they're going to die just like that. Muju's face was hideous as he gritted his teeth. He originally wanted to take down Lu Ming and Long Chen and make them wish they were dead. Also, Xian Yanqing was such a beauty. He wanted to take her down and enjoy her, but now he could only let them die for free. They naturally did not dare to enter the core area of the ruins of God because even emperors would die if they entered. It was too strange and dangerous. However, Muju was still worried and said, "Elder Muyu, please stay here for half a month. No one has been able to survive for more than half a month in the core area. If they don't come out after half a month, it means that they're dead for sure." "All right, young master, please rest assured." Muyu nodded. Then Muju waited for a day. After a day, Lu Ming and the rest did not come out, so Muju went back alone, leaving Muyu to wait for them. As soon as Lu Ming and Long Chen rushed into the core area of the ruins of God, the environment behind them changed abruptly, as though the stars had changed. What's going on? The two of them stopped at the same time and looked behind them. There was a blood mist behind them and they could not see the situation clearly. Logically speaking, although there was blood mist, they should be able to see some things with their eyesight. But now, everything was blurry. This place, could it be that we're in a formation? Lu Ming guessed. Few were safe. I can't sense that prime anymore. Dandan patted its chest with its claws and let out a long breath. The 9 dragons shrunk their bodies. Lu Ming and Long Chen turned into their human forms. Prime did not chase after us. Let's recover first. With that, Lu Ming landed. This area was still in ruins. Below them was the remains of an ancient palace. Lu Ming landed and sat cross-legged on a huge rock. With a wave of his hand, a large pile of ores appeared. Lu Ming swallowed them and began to refine them. After a series of battles, his true essence was severely depleted and needed to recover. Long Chen did the same. He took out a pile of ores and began to recover. Half an hour later, their true essence had recovered to its peak. Whoosh whoosh, the cold wind whistled and it was the only sound in this silent land. The blood mist seemed to have thickened. Lu Ming, we have to leave this place as soon as possible. I feel that this place is very strange. If we stay here for too long, it will be very dangerous. Dandan's eyes darted around as she said. Lu Ming nodded. His glabella shone and Xian Yanqing's figure appeared. This is. Xian Yanqing looked around and was slightly stunned. Shaoqing, this is the core of the ruins of God. Lu Ming gave a brief account of what had happened. Then they chose the direction they came from and walked in that direction. However, after walking for a while, they found that they couldn't get out at all. It was as if they didn't come from this direction at all. Is it really a formation? Lu Ming frowned. No, this is more advanced than a formation. There is an inexplicable force that changed the field of the area, making it impossible to tell the direction in this place. Right now we seem to be walking out, but it is possible that we are walking in. Dandan frowned and analyzed. Dandan, can you see the flaws and find a way out? Lu Ming asked. If I was at my peak, this would be nothing. But now I can only try my best. Dandan smiled awkwardly. Buzz. At this moment, not far from Lu Ming, a huge blue stone suddenly emitted a bright light. Endless inscriptions shone, forming chains that were filled with flames. In the light was Long Chen. Chapter 12:16. There was an array hidden in the green stone. Dandan was careless and did not notice it. Whoosh, whoosh. The flaming chains wrapped around Long Chen. Break! Long Chen shouted angrily and threw out both his fists. Boom, boom. The two fists were powerful and they pierced through the space. However, the flaming chains were very sturdy. Long Chen's fists only shook the flaming chains but did not break them. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The green stone glowed and more flaming chains appeared. Long Chen shouted angrily. His body glowed and his arms became thicker. A layer of scales appeared on his arms and he threw out a punch. Clang. One of the flaming chains was finally broken. Following that were even more chains. 2 of the chains had already wrapped themselves around Long Chen's body. Whoosh, whoosh. The chains wrapped around Long Chen's body and there was green smoke coming out of his body. The flaming chains were extremely terrifying. They ignored Long Chen's protective true origin and acted directly on his body. A layer of scales appeared on Long Chen's skin. It was exactly the same as the scales on the immemorial dragonesque elephant. Whoosh! The chains acted on the scales, making them sizzle. It looked like it would not last long. Break! Long Chen's muscles bulged and he grabbed the two chains. He struggled with all his might and finally broke the two chains. However, more chains appeared in the surroundings and enveloped Long Chen. The flaming chains are terrifying. They can break objects. I don't think Long Chen can last long, Xian Yinqing said solemnly. Lu Ming stared at the green stone and the runes without blinking. He was looking for a way to break it. Whoosh, whoosh. As time passed, the green stone glowed brighter and more flaming chains appeared. Long Chen was having a harder time. There were already a few marks on his body and he was almost cut in half by the flaming chains. Long Chen, take 2 steps to the right and 3 steps back. Suddenly, Lu Ming's voice was heard. Long Chen was stunned and did as he was told without hesitation. He took 2 steps to the right and 3 steps back. A few chains swept past Long Chen's body. 4 steps to the right, 2 steps forward, 5 steps to the left. Lu Ming's eyes were fixed on Qing Shi as he constantly gave out instructions. Now, Ming Lian's second body had already obtained the inheritance of the heavenly profound saint in the Saint Mansion secret realm. He had been cultivating diligently in the Saint Mansion secret realm, and his progress in the Tao of Inscription had been terrifying. Lu Ming's main body and second body were connected. As the second body's Tao of Inscription improved, Lu Ming's eyesight also improved greatly. Although he didn't have the spiritual fire and couldn't inscribe inscriptions, he could still see the flaws in the formation. Long Chen followed Lu Ming's instructions. Sometimes right, sometimes left, sometimes behind, sometimes in front. He avoided all of the chains and slowly left the range of the blue stone. Dandan, I need your help, Lu Ming said to Dandan when he saw that Long Chen had reached the edge of the blue stone. Don't worry, watch me. Dandan flew out and waved his claws. Inscriptions appeared, forming a large formation and rushed into the blue stone. Long Chen, you're out, Lu Ming shouted. Long Chen didn't hesitate and rushed out. The formation formed by Dandan shone and temporarily imprisoned the flame chains. However, in the next moment it collapsed one by one. Long Chen took this short opportunity to rush out of the range of the blue stone and let out a long breath. Brother Lu, thank you for saving me. Long Chen cupped his fists at Lu Ming. You're welcome. It's nothing. Lu Ming smiled. Long Chen clearly distinguished between kindness and hatred. Long Chen will remember you saving my life this time, Long Chen said solemnly. Lu Ming smiled and didn't say much. You have to be careful in this place. It looks dilapidated, but there are some places with broken formations. Even after countless years they are still very powerful, Dandan reminded. Dandan, do you know how to get out? Lu Ming asked. I can only try my best. Follow me and don't wander around. Dandan flew out and circled around the area, carefully sizing it up. This way. After a while, Dandan pointed in a direction. This way? Aren't we heading towards the core of the ruins of God? Lu Ming was puzzled. Xian Yinqing and Long Chen also looked at Dandan in confusion. What are you looking at? If you don't believe me, then look for it yourself. Dandan curled his lips and scampered forward. Lu Ming was speechless and could only believe this guy. The three of them followed Dandan and moved forward carefully. Dandan observed carefully and Lu Ming also observed carefully. Along the way they avoided many broken formations and moved forward. There's an ancient mine of the ruins of God. Xian Yinqing's eyes lit up as he looked not far away. There were a few ancient mines of the ruins of God that were exposed to the outside world. No one had ever entered the core of the ruins of God to excavate it. It was definitely a huge treasure trove. There are no formations there. We can take them. Lu Ming circulated his vital essence and took the few ancient mines of the ruins of God. You have to remember that some of the broken formations are very powerful. If you enter, even an Emperor Realm expert will die. Even if you see the ancient mines of the ruins of God, don't take them. Don't be blinded by greed. Dandan had a mature look on her face as she patiently and kindly warned everyone. But in the next moment, Dandan's eyes lit up as he stared to the right and shouted, Level 9 Spiritual Medicine. Then he ran over, grabbed a sparkling and resplendent spiritual medicine, and stuffed it into his mouth. Buzz. In that place, inscriptions flickered, forming terrifying beams of light that shot towards Dandan. Dandan jumped up and down in a panic. In the end, It relied on its strong defensive power and profound inscription path to escape. Lu Ming and the others were speechless. This fellow had just warned them, but when he saw the spiritual medicine, he immediately rushed over. However, they were also secretly shocked. The spiritual medicine that Dandan had obtained just now was indeed extremely shocking. It was a level 9 spiritual medicine. This area was truly a treasure trove. The group moved forward carefully. Along the way they had indeed encountered many treasures, mainly the ancient mines of the ruins of God and spiritual medicines. Most of the spiritual medicines went into Dandan's mouth, while the ancient mines of the ruins of God were divided equally between Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing and Long Chen. Of course, in some dangerous places, even if they saw spiritual medicines and ancient mines of the ruins of God, they did not take them and directly gave up. This is a 9-leaf Ganoderma. Not long after they saw a spiritual medicine with 9 leaves. It was crystal clear and had a medicinal fragrance. It was actually a 9-leaf Ganoderma, one of the main ingredients for refining the Nirvana pill. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He did not expect to encounter a 9-leaf Ganoderma here. However, the place where the 9-leaf Ganoderma grew had an incomplete formation. In the end, Lu Ming and Dandan worked together and spent a lot of effort to successfully pluck the 9-leaf Ganoderma. For this, Dandan vomited a few mouthfuls of blood and cried out that he had suffered a loss. Chapter 12:17. Whoosh whoosh, the cold wind whistled and the blood mist rolled. They did not know how long they had been walking, but they still could not get out. The blood mist around them was getting thicker and thicker. Dandan, can we get out or not? Lu Ming asked. Cough cough. Don't be impatient, trust me. Dandan coughed a few times and said. Hearing Dandan's dry coughing, Lu Ming felt even more uncertain. This guy's dry coughing was definitely not a good thing. Sure enough, after walking for a while, there were no signs of getting out at all. Instead, there were more and more broken formations around them, and Lu Ming judged that the formations were getting stronger and stronger. They walked even more carefully. There's a palace in front. Suddenly, Xian Yanqing exclaimed. Lu Ming and Long Chen looked over, their eyes revealing shock. A palace appeared in front of them. It was a complete black palace that was incomparably huge. It was thousands of meters tall, magnificent and full of the traces of time. Ever since they entered the ruins of God, they had not found a complete building, let alone a complete palace. But in front of them there was a complete palace. A complete palace, there must be treasures inside. Dandan's eyes lit up. If there are treasures, it means more danger. Lu Ming said. In the end, everyone discussed and decided to explore. Since they were already here, it would be a pity if they did not explore. The 3 people and 1 tortoise carefully approached the huge palace. They could see that there was a huge door in the middle of the palace. The door was open, but it was dark inside and they could not see the situation clearly. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, a series of rumbling sounds came from the palace, as if a huge monster was walking. It seems like something is coming. Lu Ming whispered, his eyes solemn. Let's retreat first. Dandan swallowed his saliva, feeling a little scared. They retreated for a while before finding a huge rock to hide behind. Dandan inscribed an array formation to restrain their auras. After concealing their auras, they began to observe the battle quietly. Bang, bang, bang. The sounds became louder and louder, one after another, very rhythmic, as if a huge monster was walking. It's out. That's a dragon. Xian Yanqing exclaimed softly. His voice was filled with shock. A decapitated dragon, and Long Chen spoke. This peerless genius, who had always been very calm and expressionless, suddenly changed his expression. His voice was very shocked and very hoarse. Lu Ming's pupils suddenly contracted. At the entrance of the palace, a huge monster finally revealed its true body. It was a dragon with 5 claws under its belly. It was a true dragon, a 5-clawed true dragon. However, the most shocking thing was that this true dragon did not have a head. Its head seemed to have been chopped off. Its entire body was covered in black scales and emitted a terrifying aura. The most shocking thing was that there was a knight sitting on the back of the dragon. A knight in black armor was holding a dragon spear that was several meters long. Like the true dragon, this black-armored knight did not have a head. A headless knight riding a headless true dragon walked out of the palace, giving off a terrifying aura. Lu Ming and the others felt their scalps go numb. The headless true dragon actually let out an earth-shaking dragon roar, causing Lu Ming and the others' eardrums to hurt. Then, the headless knight riding the headless true dragon actually walked in their direction. As the true dragon stepped, the earth rumbled. Oh no, they've discovered us. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. Run quickly. Dandan exclaimed and turned to run. However, buzz. The headless true dragon knight emitted a terrifying fluctuation. This fluctuation was stronger than any emperor that Lu Ming had encountered. The space around them seemed to have solidified. Their bodies were suppressed by the space and could not move at all. It was as if they were fixed in place. Lu Ming exerted all his strength, but it was still useless. He could not even activate his bloodline. Too strong. This headless true dragon knight was too strong. Its combat strength was terrifying. Dandan, you're in big trouble this time. Lu Ming shouted. I don't know either. Dandan maintained its running posture and was fixed in the air. Its mouth was crooked. Bang, bang. The headless true dragon knight stepped closer and closer to them. Its powerful aura caused the boulders in front of them to shatter. They were directly exposed to the headless knight. Trespassers die. A cold and emotionless voice came from the headless knight. Shao Qing. Lu Ming looked at Xian Yanqing. This time they were most likely doomed. Lu Ming, as long as I'm with you, so what if I die? Xian Yanqing transmitted his voice to Lu Ming, his eyes full of affection. No way, I didn't die in that earth-shattering battle back then, but I'm going to die here? No way, no. Dandan shouted, his voice full of unwillingness. Bang. The headless knight stood in front of them and pointed the dragon spear in his hand. A cold, murderous intent enveloped them. Kill? Nobody knew where the headless knight's cold voice came from. But at this moment, Lu Ming's body glowed. A purple gold token floated out from Lu Ming's body. Hunyuan token. This was the Hunyuan token that Lu Ming had obtained in the Battle of Providence. Lu Ming didn't know how to use it, but now it floated out on its own. At the same time, on the other side, a purple gold token appeared on Long Chen's body. It was also a Hunyuan token. Long Chen had also obtained a Hunyuan token when he participated in the Battle of Providence. 2 Hunyuan tokens flew out, emitting a dazzling light. The headless true dragon knight stopped moving instantly, as if it was looking at the 2 Hunyuan tokens. Hunyuan tokens, you are disciples of the Hunyuan sect. It's been countless years. I didn't expect to see disciples of the Hunyuan sect again. Since you are disciples of the Hunyuan sect, you are one of us. Come in. A cold and dry voice came from the headless true dragon knight. The pressure on Lu Ming and the others also disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming and the others immediately regained their freedom. Shao Qing. Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing's small hand and looked at the headless true dragon knight cautiously. How many years has it been? I finally see disciples of the Hunyuan sect again. How is the Hunyuan sect now? Is it still resisting or has it been destroyed? A leisurely voice came from the headless true dragon knight. Then the headless true dragon knight turned and left. Step by step, it walked into the dark palace and disappeared without a trace. Come in. What opportunities you can get will depend on your luck. The headless true dragon knight's voice came from the palace. Then it was completely silent. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing and Long Chen were a little stunned and confused. Chapter 12:18. Strange too strange. Obviously, the headless true dragon knight recognized the primordial chaos token. Also, the primordial chaos sect? What was that? A sect? Could it be the controller behind the War of Providence? At this moment, Lu Ming thought of many things, but he also had more questions. However, one thing was certain. The headless true dragon knight seemed to be on the same side as the primordial chaos sect. At least, they were not enemies, which was why they were let go. This is a supreme powerhouse. After death, his battle soul did not dissipate and turned into a headless true dragon knight to protect this territory. Also, the primordial chaos sect? Dandan said slowly as if trying to recall something, frowning. Suddenly, Dandan raised his eyebrows and his eyes lit up. Dandan, what did you remember? Lu Ming asked. The primordial chaos sect, the #1 sect in the world, the most powerful force. Dandan said. The #1 sect in the world? You mean the primordial realm? Lu Ming asked. The world is very big and it's not just the primordial realm. Dandan said. You mean the heavenly realm? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He was very shocked. Of course, the conversation between the two was in the form of voice transmission. No one else could hear it. Xian Yanqing did not mind if he heard it. He was not familiar with Long Chen, and there were some things that he did not want Long Chen to know. Yes, the primordial chaos sect is the #1 sect in the world. Unfortunately, it was destroyed back then. Moreover, this place is most likely related to the Primordial Chaos sect. Therefore, you have the Primordial Chaos token, so the Headless True Dragon Knight will not kill you. Dandan said. Dandan, what happened to the Heavenly Realm? Lu Ming stared at Dandan and asked. Lu Ming was really curious. He found that many things in the Primordial Realm were related to the Heavenly Realm. Legend had it that in ancient times, corpses fell from the sky and formed the 100-god slope in the Tianxian domain. There was also the ancient desolate city, which was also an object of the Heavenly Realm. In the end, it broke through the void and arrived on a small island in the Heavenly Realm. There was also the Gate of Heaven, which was connected to the Heavenly Realm. Dandan came out of the Gate of Heaven. Now, the Battle of Providence was also suspected to be controlled by the Primordial Chaos sect of the Heaven Realm. And the current ruins of God. The Primordial Realm seemed to be inextricably linked to the Heaven Realm. Dandan would often mutter about the battle back then. What was that battle referring to? Since the Hunyuan sect was the #1 sect in the world, why was it destroyed? Was it because of the three-eyed divine race? I can't tell you. Firstly, my memory is fuzzy and I can't remember it clearly. Secondly, your cultivation is too weak. Telling you won't do you any good. There are some things that you will naturally know when your cultivation reaches a certain level. Dandan said in a deep voice. It was rare for him to be so serious. Lu Ming pursed his lips, but since Dandan didn't say anything, he didn't bother to ask. Indeed, that kind of thing was too far away from him. His current goal was to improve his cultivation and deal with DE. Lu Ming, are we going in? Xian Yanqing asked as he looked at the palace in front of him. Let's go in. Since the Headless True Dragon Rider isn't hostile to us, let's go in and explore, Lu Ming said. Long Qin nodded without hesitation. Indeed, there might be some opportunities inside. If there are treasures, I'll be rich. Dandan's eyes lit up again. Immediately, the three of them and the tortoise walked into the palace gate. After walking through the gate, their vision widened and they could vaguely see the main hall. The main hall was very spacious. In the middle there was a huge aisle. On both sides of the aisle there were stone rooms. The few of them checked several stone rooms in a row, but found nothing. Suddenly, Long Chen's expression changed as if he had sensed something. He strode forward and came to a sealed stone room. When he arrived, Long Chen's body glowed. The Archean dragonesque elephant bloodline automatically appeared above his head. Brr. The Archean dragonesque elephant bloodline howled and slammed into the stone door of the stone room. Crack. The stone door opened and a domineering aura emanated from inside. This is... Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were shocked to see a statue in the stone room. The statue was obviously a huge elephant. The elephant was covered in scales and its aura was domineering. It was obviously an Archean dragonesque elephant. There was actually an Archean dragonesque elephant statue here. It was lifelike and looked exactly the same as Long Chen's bloodline. However, its aura was stronger, more shocking, and more domineering. Long Chen's eyes lit up. He strode in and sat under the Archean dragonesque elephant statue. The Archean dragonesque elephant bloodline above his head resonated with the statue. The statue flashed with light. This kid is pretty lucky to have obtained a great opportunity, Dandan said. Lu Ming nodded. Long Chen had indeed obtained a great opportunity. The Archean dragonesque elephant statue was definitely left behind by a supreme expert. It contained the charm of the Archean dragonesque elephant. Long Chen will probably be cultivating here for a short period of time. Let's go, Lu Ming said. Then he left with Xian Yanqing and Dandan. They walked forward and looked at every secret room on both sides of the passage. Unfortunately, they found nothing. Soon they passed through the passage. Behind them was a ruin. Suddenly, Xian Yanqing's glabella flickered. There seems to be something underground, Xian Yanqing said. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He began to dig under the ruins. Soon he dug dozens of meters deep. Below, a huge ancient mine of the ruins of God appeared. Yes, the ancient mine of the ruins of God was the size of a water tank. It was dozens of times bigger than the other ancient mines of God. It's so heavy. Lu Ming mentioned it, but he didn't manage to lift it. Get up. Lu Ming unleashed 8 streams of dragon force to lift the ancient mine of the ruins of God and fly it out of the deep pit. Xian Yanqing's true yuan boiled and demonic qi shone on his body. Above his head, the heavenly demon bloodline appeared. I have a strong reaction to this ancient mine of the ruins of God. It seems that there is a devil inside. Xian Yanqing's eyes revealed curiosity and nervousness. Rich, this girl is rich. There is indeed something extraordinary sealed in this ancient mine of the ruins of God. Dandan circled around the ancient mine of the ruins of God, his eyes shining as he muttered non-stop. Break it and take a look, Lu Ming said. Wait a minute, let me set up a formation just in case. Dandan called out to Lu Ming, and then set up a dense array around the ancient mine of the ruins of God. That's enough, Dandan said. Lu Ming nodded. His true yuan condensed into a blade and began to cut the ancient mine of the ruins of God. The yellow ore was cut off layer by layer. Slowly, the ancient mine of the ruins of God became smaller and smaller. In the end, it was only the size of a fist. It's so small, what could be inside? Lu Ming was curious. His true yuan shook. Crack. The ancient mine of the ruins of God cracked open. Immediately, a powerful demonic chi spread out from the crack. This demonic chi was extremely terrifying. Although it didn't feel strong, that kind of aura was high and mighty, like an emperor looking down on all living things. Bang. Chapter 12:19. The black bead was the size of a longan, but it contained a shocking demonic aura and a vast demonic aura. Lu Ming felt as if he was facing a supreme being of the demonic path. The feeling was many times stronger than when he faced Xiao Wan. This is a sacred heart? No, it doesn't seem like it. Lu Ming was shocked. At first, he felt that it was a sacred heart left behind by a sage. Lu Ming had seen a sacred heart left behind by a heavenly profound sage before, but after taking a closer look, it didn't seem like it. Buzz. Whoosh. The black bead let out a buzzing sound and then shot into the sky as if it had a mind of its own. I knew it, Dandan said. Inscriptions appeared around them and a large array was formed, forming countless dense ribbons that blocked the black bead like an inescapable net. The black bead didn't rush out and immediately changed its direction, but it was still blocked by the array. The black bead rushed left and right with a monstrous demonic aura, but unfortunately it didn't rush out. Dandan was already prepared and set up the array just in case. Naturally, it wasn't that simple. At this time, the demonic aura on Xian Yanqing's body became denser. Her bloodline was glowing as if it was resonating with the black bead. Buzz. In the end, the black bead seemed to have no choice but to turn around and fly directly towards Xian Yanqing. Oh no. Lu Ming's face changed and he wanted to stop it. Lu Ming, you're confused because you're too concerned. This is a great opportunity for this girl. Dandan shouted. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he stopped. He also knew that he was confused because he was too concerned. Whoosh. The black bead flew into Xian Yanqing's glabella and disappeared. Lu Ming, I want to cultivate here for a while, Xian Yanqing said. Okay. Lu Ming nodded. Then Xian Yanqing sat down cross-legged. A layer of demonic light shrouded Xian Yanqing like a cocoon formed by demonic aura. Dandan, could that be the sacred heart left behind by the saints? Lu Ming asked curiously. Not the sacred heart. Dandan shook his head. His small eyes glowed as he said, that's a core left behind by an existence more powerful than a saint. It's 100 times more precious than a saint's heart. That's why I said that this chick had obtained a great opportunity. Fortunately, the owner of this thing had died in battle a long time ago. The killing intent and murderous intent on it had long dissipated, and there wasn't much energy left. Otherwise, if we were all dead, this chick wouldn't have been able to obtain the inheritance. Stronger than a sage? Lu Ming was secretly shocked. At the moment, a ruler was an insurmountable mountain for him, and a saint was much more powerful than a ruler. Moreover, there were existences stronger than a saint. Lu Ming, let's continue forward. No one else can come in here. Your little lover will be fine here. I feel that there is a lucky chance waiting for us ahead. Dandan's eyes lit up as he looked ahead. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. Lu Ming nodded. Then, the man and the tortoise continued forward. There were still ruins in front of them, but they could still see the outline. It should also be a palace, but it had been smashed and fallen here. It had long been ruined. Suddenly, Lu Ming saw a behemoth lying in front of them. It was the headless true dragon knight. The black headless true dragon was lying on the ground, and the headless knight was sitting quietly on the true dragon, holding a dragon spear, motionless. Next to the headless true dragon knight, there was an area where various weapons were stuck upside down. However, they seemed to have been corroded and were in tatters. He could even see various kinds of armor, which were also rotten like those weapons. Taking a closer look, there were skeletons under those weapons and armor. Could it be that these were the burial places of the powerhouses who died in battle? Was the headless true dragon knight guarding this place? Lu Ming secretly guessed. That's 10,000 spirit crystals? I'm rich, I'm rich. Dandan's eyes suddenly lit up. She sprinted forward and rushed into the area filled with bones. Then, she dug out a multicolored crystal the size of a human head from the center of the area. It hugged the crystal and began to chew on it. Crunch, 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 it ate with relish. During the process, the headless true dragon knight did not move and did not stop it. Lu Ming smiled and strode forward. When he walked into the place of skeletons, his face changed drastically. Kill, kill, kill. Countless roars that were filled with murderous intent suddenly exploded in Lu Ming's mind. Those were extremely powerful killing intent, the killing intent of those powerhouses who were unwilling to die. They were too powerful. If it were anyone else, they would have been drowned by the endless killing intent in an instant and become an idiot. However, Lu Ming was different. In his third bloodline, the murderous intent and murderous intent were many times stronger than the murderous intent here. Lu Ming was often under the influence of such murderous intent, and he had long learned how to resist it and maintain a clear mind amidst the endless murderous intent. What a strong killing intent, but it's useless against me. But Dandan is too unreliable. He didn't even warn me. If it were someone else, it would be dangerous. Lu Ming thought. Dandan was still gnawing on the crystal, squinting and enjoying it very much. Kill, kill, kill. Those killing intents were full of strong unwillingness and unyielding fighting intent, as if they were going to kill all enemies in the world. Huh, what's this? Lu Ming's expression changed and he closed his eyes. In the next moment, the surrounding environment seemed to change. Lu Ming came to a vast land, where countless light pillars shot up into the sky. Those light pillars were all auras, the auras of various essences of heaven and earth. No, in essence they were countless times stronger than the essences of heaven and earth. Are they left by those powerhouses? Are they related to the essences, or are they more powerful than the essences? Lu Ming's heart jumped, and then he was overjoyed. Because Lu Ming felt that in those light pillars, there were auras similar to the essences of fire and thunder. Lu Ming could find all 5 essences that he had comprehended. If I can comprehend them here, the essences of heaven and earth will definitely improve rapidly. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. For him this was a great opportunity. Immediately, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged and started to comprehend quietly. Dandan quickly finished eating the 10,000 spirit crystal, and then he lay there motionlessly, glowing all over. Fire essence. The first thing Lu Ming comprehended was the concept of fire. Now, his fire essence and thunder essence had reached the peak of greater success of level 4, and he was only one step away from level 4 perfection. At this time, Lu Ming's fire essence was rapidly improving again. In this way time passed day by day. After 7 days, Lu Ming made a breakthrough in his fire essence, making it the first to reach level 4 perfection. Level 4 perfection of concept was already the highest level. The next step would be domain. Boom. A layer of flame jumped on Lu Ming's body, and then it burned through the space. Level 4 perfection, so powerful. Chapter 12:20. Perfected level 4 meant that one's comprehension of the concept had reached the peak. Once one's control of the heaven and earth concept reached the perfected realm, the power of the concept would increase greatly. In 7 days, I was able to raise my fire concept from greater success level 4 to perfected level 4. This place is a great opportunity for me, Lu Ming thought to himself. Although there was only one step between greater success level 4 and perfected level 4, the difference was like heaven and earth. Many geniuses would need at least half a year or even a few years to break through. Some people might even spend their entire lives without being able to break through. With Lu Ming's cultivation speed, he would need at least half a year to break through if there were no opportunities. But now he had broken through in 7 days. Next, thunder concept. Lu Ming's eyes flashed as he began to comprehend thunder concept. Similarly, in 7 days, Lu Ming's thunder concept had broken through and reached perfected level 4. Whoosh! Lu Ming waved his hand and the sky was filled with lightning. Bolts of lightning surrounded Lu Ming's body. Suddenly, Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. Just as his thunder concept had broken through to perfected level 4, the thunder cauldron in his sea of consciousness that had been silent for a few years suddenly moved and vibrated slightly. At this moment, Lu Ming felt that he had made a connection with the thunder cauldron. Lu Ming had obtained this thunder cauldron from the 100 Gods slope. When he first saw it, the thunder cauldron was undergoing a heavenly tribulation, so Lu Ming had put it away. Lu Ming had used it a few times. Although it would absorb Lu Ming's life essence, it had helped Lu Ming overcome difficulties several times. Unfortunately, after being hit by De in the Battle of Nine Dragons, it had flown back to Lu Ming's Sea of Consciousness and remained silent. No matter how Lu Ming tried to sense or call it, he could not get a connection. Now, when Lu Ming's Thunder concept had broken through to perfected level 4, he had made a connection with the Thunder Cauldron again. Immediately, Lu Ming activated Thunder concept and carefully sensed with the Thunder Cauldron. The Lightning Cauldron vibrated even more intensely. In the end, it flew out from between Lu Ming's eyebrows and floated above Lu Ming's head. It emitted a supreme lightning might from above. This pressure is so strong. Lu Ming sensed the Lightning Cauldron and his eyes revealed shock. The pressure emitted by the Thunder Cauldron was even stronger than that of a ruler. Move. Lu Ming tried to control the Lightning Cauldron. To his surprise, he was able to control it. The Lightning Cauldron flew up and down according to Lu Ming's will. It was many times stronger than before. In the past, he would only be able to activate the Lightning Cauldron when he was fighting for his life. The lightning would absorb his true essence and his life essence. Only then would he be able to activate the Lightning Cauldron. How could he control it as he wished now? However, I still feel that this Lightning Cauldron is unfathomable. I don't know how much power I can unleash from it. However, even if I can unleash a little bit of its power, it will still be of great help to me. Let's find a chance to test it out. Lu Ming smiled and put the Thunder Cauldron back into his Sea of Consciousness. Then Lu Ming continued to comprehend other concepts. Time passed day by day. Lu Ming's heaven and earth concept also improved very quickly. Chirp chirp. On this day, Lu Ming was cultivating when he suddenly heard a sound not far away from him. Lu Ming was shocked and hurriedly opened his eyes. There were actually other living beings here. If they wanted to harm them, the consequences would be unimaginable. When he opened his eyes, he saw a ball of white hair squirming not far away. No, upon closer inspection, it was actually a living being that looked very similar to a squirrel. Its entire body was chubby and round and it was very fleshy. Moreover, its entire body was covered with white hair. The white hair was crystal clear without any impurities. Coupled with its chubby body, it was very cute. It was not big. It was only the size of 2 fists. At this moment, it was blinking its big black eyes and looking at Lu Ming curiously. It was making chirping sounds from its mouth. There's actually such a living being here? Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Wasn't this place filled with mortal enemies and no living beings? Lu Ming and the others had not encountered any living beings along the way except for the headless true dragon rider. Strictly speaking, the headless true dragon rider was not a living being. Could it be a spirit mouse? Strange, why would it appear here? Moreover, isn't it afraid of the endless killing intent here? Chirp chirp, the white spirit mouse looked at Lu Ming curiously while chirping. It wriggled its chubby body and wandered around Lu Ming. Lu Ming looked carefully and found that the white spirit mouse looked very ordinary. Lu Ming stood up and walked towards the white spirit mouse. The white spirit mouse was shocked and ran away quickly. After running for a while, it stopped and turned around to look at Lu Ming curiously. "Little guy, what's your name?" Lu Ming asked. When a demonic beast reached the king realm, it would be able to speak. Chirp chirp. However, the white spirit mouse only chirped and did not speak. "You haven't reached the king realm? But if you haven't reached the king realm, how can you resist the endless killing intent here?" Lu Ming's curiosity was aroused and he chased after the white spirit mouse. The white spirit mouse turned around and ran at an incredible speed. In a flash, it disappeared without a trace. This is the space essence? Lu Ming stood rooted to the ground, dumbstruck. A white spirit mouse could actually use the space essence. Moreover, it seemed to be more mysterious than the space essence that Lu Ming had seen Yang Padian and Dishan use. What kind of spirit mouse was this? What kind of demonic beast was it? Lu Ming had never heard of it. Forget it. In the end, Lu Ming shook his head and continued to sit cross-legged to comprehend the space essence. But not long after, the chirping sound was heard again. Lu Ming opened his eyes and saw the white spirit mouse again. It was lying not far away and looking at Lu Ming. "This guy," Lu Ming muttered. Suddenly he moved and pounced on the white spirit rat. Chirp chirp. The white spirit mouse was startled and turned around to run. In a flash of white light, it was far away. Lu Ming did not even see how it left. Its use of space is too strong, isn't it? Lu Ming was really stunned. After a while, Lu Ming continued to sit cross-legged. But this time Lu Ming just closed his eyes and did not cultivate. Instead, he spread out his soul consciousness and paid attention to the situation around him. As expected, not long after, with a flash of white light, the white spirit mouse appeared not far away from Lu Ming and looked at Lu Ming curiously. Let's see where you can run to this time. The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled into a faint smile. The vital essence in his body suddenly erupted, forming a vital essence light shield that enveloped a radius of 1,000 meters. Even the space was sealed by Lu Ming. At the same time, Lu Ming suddenly moved and pounced on the white spirit mouse like a ray of light. Chirp chirp, the white spirit mouse made a sound, but there was no trace of panic in its big eyes. It spat out a bubble from its mouth. Yes, it was a bubble. The bubble expanded rapidly and enveloped Lu Ming. Chapter 12:21. As for the white spirit mouse, it ran away without a trace. When the white spirit mouse went far away, the bubble on his body burst with a poof. This is the time concept? This time, Lu Ming's heart was really in a perilous situation. His eyes were full of disbelief. The reason why the bubble slowed down Lu Ming's speed was not because of other reasons. That was because the flow of time in the bubble slowed down. Therefore Lu Ming's speed slowed down. That was clearly the time concept. Among thousands of concepts, time and space were king. The time concept and space concept were the kings of thousands of concepts. But in fact, the time concept was stronger, more mysterious and rarer than space concept. That was the legendary concept. Almost no one could comprehend it. But now, a white spirit mouse actually mastered the time concept. The most shocking thing was that this white spirit mouse not only mastered the time concept, but also the space concept. To master time and space at the same time, this was unheard of. It was too shocking and too terrifying. Lu Ming was stunned there. It took him a long time to recover. This spirit mouse's origin is absolutely amazing. But it seems to have no malice towards me. It's just curious and as timid as a mouse. No, it's just a mouse. Lu Ming thought in his heart. After a while, Lu Ming continued to sit cross-legged. Sure enough, not long after, the white spirit mouse came again. Not far from Lu Ming, it blinked its big eyes and looked at Lu Ming curiously. This time Lu Ming ignored it. He closed his eyes and pretended to cultivate. The white spirit mouse wandered around Lu Ming and looked at him. After half an hour, it ran away. Lu Ming smiled slightly and continued to comprehend the world concept. The next day, the white spirit mouse came again and still looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming ignored it and continued to cultivate. This time, the white spirit mouse seemed to be a little bolder and got closer to Lu Ming. After half an hour, it left again. But the next day, the white spirit mouse came again. Lu Ming couldn't be bothered and focused on cultivating. As for the white spirit mouse, it would come every day to carefully size up Lu Ming. Furthermore, it became bolder and bolder, slowly approaching Lu Ming. 7 days later, it simply climbed onto Lu Ming's shoulder. In this way, after a few more days, he decided not to leave. He curled up at Lu Ming's feet. His chubby body curled up and he actually fell asleep. There was even a bubble on his nose. As the white spirit mouse breathed, the bubble would grow bigger and smaller. It was very cute. Lu Ming opened his eyes and couldn't help but reach out to touch it. The white spirit mouse suddenly woke up and subconsciously wanted to escape. However, it immediately realized that Lu Ming was just gently stroking it. Then it looked comfortable and continued to lie down. Chirp chirp. After a while, the white spirit mouse actually fell asleep again, and it was even making chirping sounds. Lu Ming smiled faintly. What a cute little guy. In the following days, Lu Ming cultivated every day. The white spirit mouse seemed to be dependent on him and stayed by Lu Ming's side all day long. This is a space-time spirit mouse? Suddenly, a shocked voice sounded. Lu Ming opened his eyes and saw Dandan looking at the white spirit mouse in shock. Space-time spirit mouse? Dandan, you know it? Lu Ming asked. Dandan carefully sized up the white spirit mouse. There was a complicated look in his eyes. It seemed to be nostalgic and sad at the same time. Of course I know it. Space-time spirit mouse is one of the top 10 battle beasts. How can I not know it? Dandan said leisurely. One of the top 10 battle beasts? Lu Ming was shocked. Space-time spirit mouse can control space-time. Don't mention how terrifying it is. A space-time spirit mouse in its heyday is a headache even for me in my heyday. Kid, you're really lucky. It seems that this space-time spirit mouse is dependent on you. Dandan said. His tone was full of envy. Isn't it said that the top 10 battle beasts are unique in the world? Could it be that this one is the one from ancient times? Lu Ming asked curiously. He had already determined that this was the real space-time spirit mouse. Lu Ming had seen it use spacetime essence with his own eyes. It shouldn't be. The spacetime spirit mouse from back then had already died in battle. If I'm not mistaken, this one should be the descendant of the spacetime spirit mouse from back then. I don't know what kind of method it used to seal it until now, but this spacetime spirit mouse shouldn't have been born for too long. I know. This is the Spacetime Spirit Palace. The Spacetime Spirit Palace was an important place in the Hunyuan sect. It was the residence of the Spacetime Spirit Mouse. The Archean Dragonesque Elephant and the Spacetime Spirit Mouse were good friends, so there was a statue of the Archean Dragonesque Elephant. Unfortunately, this place has been destroyed. Dandan kept muttering and revealed many secrets. Dandan, you seem to have recovered a lot. Lu Ming said. Haha, of course. I've refined the Thousand Spirit Crystal. The Thousand Spirit Crystal is the condensation of the essence of countless experts. Now that my cultivation has improved greatly, I can protect you in the future. Dandan said proudly. Oh, can you deal with the Emperor? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Ahem, I haven't fully digested the Thousand Spirit Crystal. I can't deal with the Emperor for the time being. Dandan said awkwardly. You can't deal with the Emperor. What's there to be proud of? Lu Ming despised. Kid you. Dandan glared at Lu Ming. If you can't deal with the Emperor, what about the Supreme Being? Lu Ming asked. Ahem, I should be able to barely deal with a Supreme Being, right? Dandan said with some lack of confidence. Lu Ming curled his lips. This guy was most likely unreliable and didn't have any confidence in his words. Kid, what's with your expression? I haven't digested the Thousand Spirit Crystal yet. After I've digested it, I can kill a Supreme Being with a slap. Dandan shouted. Is that so? Lu Ming didn't seem to believe him, which made Dandan very depressed. He stayed at the side alone and continued to refine the Thousand Spirit Crystal. Shao Qing and Long Chen haven't finished cultivating yet. I'll continue to comprehend the concept. Lu Ming pondered and then continued to comprehend the concept of heaven and earth. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, there were only 3 days left before they set off for the ancient city of gods. At this time, Lu Ming ended his cultivation. They had to think of a way to get out. A few days ago, Xian Yinqing and Long Chen had finished their cultivation and came here. At first, Long Chen and Xian Yinqing also wanted to step into the land of bones, but they retreated in shock. It was difficult for them to resist the killing intent, so they could only give up. Whoosh. Lu Ming stood up and took a step out of the land of bones. During this period of time, each of them had gained a lot. Long Chen seemed to have comprehended a terrifying battle skill while cultivating under the primordial dragonesque elephant. Moreover, his cultivation had broken through from the peak of the 5th level to the 6th level of the spirit god realm. Moreover, he had reached the peak of the 6th level of the spirit god realm. Xian Yinqing's cultivation had improved the most. She was originally at the peak of the 4th level of the spirit god realm, but now she had stepped into the 6th level of the spirit god realm. Yes, the 6th level of the spirit god realm, and she had already reached the middle stage of the 6th level. Chapter 12:22. Of course, Lu Ming's gains were also very shocking. Among his concepts of heaven and earth, the fire concept, thunder concept, and wind concept had all broken through to the peak of the 4th level. In addition, the water concept was at the peak of the 4th level, and the earth concept, which was the hardest to cultivate, was also at the peak of the 4th level. It could be said that his 5 concepts could be described as advancing by leaps and bounds. If he cultivated normally, it would take at least a few years, but now he only needed a little more than a month. If it wasn't for the lack of time, Lu Ming really wanted to raise all 5 concepts to the peak of the 4th level here. Now, although Lu Ming's cultivation was still at the 5th level of the spirit god realm, his various concepts had far surpassed his cultivation. Lu Ming only needed to spend some time to devour and refine origin stones, and his cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds. For Lu Ming, the advancement of concepts was the most important. As long as he had origin stones, his cultivation could increase crazily. Of course, Lu Ming's greatest fortuitous encounter was obtaining the Spacetime Spirit Mouse. Now the Spacetime Spirit Mouse pestered Lu Ming all day and hung on Lu Ming's body. What a cute spirit mouse. Xian Yinqing's eyes lit up when she saw the Spacetime Spirit Mouse. She really wanted to hug it. However, the Spacetime Spirit Mouse seemed to be shy with strangers. It hung on Lu Ming's body and didn't let Xian Yinqing hug it. This made Xian Yinqing's little mouth pout. Haha, this little guy. Lu Ming laughed loudly, making Xian Yinqing's little mouth pout even higher. Dandan, can you find a way out? Lu Ming asked Dandan. Cough cough, I can try. Dandan coughed again and flew onto Lu Ming's shoulder. This guy is coughing again. Lu Ming had a bad feeling in his heart. When this guy coughed, it meant that he wasn't confident. Bang. At this moment, the space-time spirit mouse kicked Dandan in the face, sending Dandan flying off Lu Ming's shoulder. Then it curled up its body and nestled on Lu Ming's shoulder, looking at Dandan with its big round eyes. It seemed to be saying that this territory was his. Nestle, little guy, you dare to kick this seat? Audacious, impudent. Dandan's anger soared to the sky. Chirp chirp. The space-time spirit mouse looked at Dandan innocently and chirped. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing laughed heartily. Even the usually reserved Long Chen revealed a smile. Suddenly, Lu Ming thought of something, and his eyes lit up as he rubbed the space-time spirit mouse and said, Little fellow, are you willing to leave with me? Chirp chirp. A small bubble emerged from the space-time spirit mouse's nose, and it nodded its head repeatedly. Then do you know the way out? Can you take us out? Lu Ming continued to ask. Chirp chirp. The space-time spirit mouse nodded again. Lu Ming was overjoyed and said, All right, then bring us out. Chirp chirp. The space-time spirit mouse extended its small claws and pointed in a direction. Lu Ming was overjoyed, and the few of them followed the direction pointed by the space-time spirit mouse. The headless true dragon knight did not move at all. Very quickly, the few of them left the direction of the palace. On the way, the space-time spirit mouse would often give them pointers. Everyone followed the direction of the space-time spirit mouse and walked forward. Just like that, they walked for half a day. Half a day later, the surrounding environment suddenly changed. They discovered that they had already left the core region and arrived at the inner region of the ruins of God. They had really walked out of the core region of the ruins of God. Little guy, you're so powerful. Lu Ming patted the space-time spirit mouse. Chirp chirp. The space-time spirit mouse squinted its eyes and curled up its chubby body. It had a comfortable look on its face as the bubble on its nose fluctuated between big and small. So cute. Xian Yanqing's eyes were already filled with light as he stared at the space-time spirit mouse. He couldn't wait to rush up and hug it. Lu Ming, this little spirit mouse is much more reliable than your little tortoise. Xian Yanqing said. What? Little girl, what did you say? How can this little thing be compared to this seat? Dandan was so angry that his entire body was trembling. He jumped onto Lu Ming's other shoulder and glared at Xian Yanqing. At the same time, he carefully paid attention to the space-time spirit mouse, afraid that it would kick him down again. Isn't it? Xian Yanqing curled his lips, then looked at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, have you given it a name? In my opinion, why don't we call it Bubbles? How cute. Xian Yanqing carefully approached and stroked the space-time spirit mouse. Bubbles, be good, let me hug you. Xian Yanqing whispered very gently. This time, the space-time spirit mouse didn't refuse and let Xian Yanqing approach. Xian Yanqing stroked it a few times first, then hugged the space-time spirit mouse in his arms with a happy look. Bubbles, it's quite appropriate. Lu Ming smiled. Everyone's attention was on Bubbles, which made Dandan angry. Let's go back to the Southern Divine Palace. Mu family, this debt will be settled sooner or later. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. The Mu family could only secretly send people to deal with them. They wouldn't dare to do so in public. Otherwise, what would the young experts from other continents think if they knew? Therefore they could swagger back to the Southern Divine Palace. In less than an hour, they returned to the Southern Divine Palace. The Southern Divine Palace was even more lively, with people coming and going. The young geniuses from the 9 continents in the southern part of the continent of God had already arrived. They had all ended their seclusion and were wandering around the streets. Because there were only 2 days left before they set off for the ancient city of God to participate in the heavenly God sex selection, everyone came out to relax. The Mu family is holding a stone gambling event. Is that so? Let's go and have a look. Suddenly, someone shouted on the street and suddenly many people gathered in one direction. Stone gambling event? The few of them were stunned. Lu Ming casually pulled a person over and asked, then he knew what was going on. The continent of God's ruins was the ancient mine of God's ruins. Peerless treasures could be found in the ancient mine of God, which made many people very tempted. However, not all ancient mines of God could produce treasures, and the probability was very low. Every once in a while, the major forces of the Southern Divine Palace would take out many ancient mines of God for people to choose from. Of course, they had to pay the price of origin stones. The Mu family. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Together with Xian Yanqing and Long Qin, they followed the crowd and headed forward. Soon they arrived at a large square. At this time the square was surrounded by a sea of people. There were many shelves in the square, and on the shelves, there were pieces of ancient minds of God. At a glance there were thousands of pieces. Thousands of pieces seemed like a lot, but it was nothing to a major force. How many people were there in a major force? There were people wandering around the ancient minds of God every day. After a few years, it was normal to have thousands of pieces of ancient minds of God. On one side of the shelves, there was a high platform where the experts of the Mu family sat. Mu Ju was sitting in the middle. Chapter 12:23. Lu Ming, Long Qin, you guys are lucky to have died in the core of the ruins of God. Otherwise I would have killed both of you. Also, it's a pity for that Xian Yanqing, such a beauty. Mu Ju thought in his heart. Seeing that more and more people were gathering in the square, he felt that it was about time. He stood up and looked around. His voice came from afar. Today my Mu family is holding a stone gambling event. I have taken out all the ancient mines that my Mu family has collected for decades. There must be a peerless treasure inside. If you want to gamble, you can come up and choose carefully. If you choose one, you can take it away for 100,000 origin stones. Mu Ju announced the rules of the stone gambling event. 100,000 origin stones, it's really expensive. Some people gasped. It's really expensive. In the past, when other families held a stone gambling event, it wasn't that expensive. It's too expensive. Usually it's not that expensive to buy ancient minds of God. Many people began to discuss. For a moment, no one went up. In fact, many people knew that the ancient minds of God that these big families took out were all carefully selected. The ancient minds of God that might contain treasures had already been filtered out. Those that were taken out were all carefully selected. The probability of a treasure being found was not high. It was too expensive to sell it for 100,000 origin stones. Mu Ju's face turned cold. Usually when we buy ancient minds of God, we can't let you choose carefully. But now we can. Moreover, I guarantee that these ancient minds of God are all of high quality. I guarantee it with the Mu family's reputation. Let me try. Let me try too. As soon as Mu Ju's voice fell, a few burly men stepped forward and carefully selected among the thousands of origin stones. After a while, the burly men finished their selection and paid 100,000 origin stones each. Cut it open and see. Someone shouted. All right. The burly men nodded. In the beginning, 2 burly men cut open the ancient mine of God. There was nothing inside. When the third burly man cut open the ancient mine of God, a rainbow light shot out from the ancient mine of God. A treasure has appeared, a treasure has appeared. The crowd was in an uproar as they stared with their eyes wide open. A jade sword. God, it's so powerful. Someone exclaimed. Inside the ruins of God ancient mine that the burly man had cut open, there was actually a small and exquisite jade sword that emitted a terrifying fluctuation. Even though countless years had passed, causing it to lose some of its essence, as long as it was nurtured properly, it would still be a formidable weapon. This seems to be an Emperor Spirit weapon. Someone cried out in alarm, causing the crowd to burst into a frenzy. We really found treasures. Mu Ju was right. This batch of ancient ores is really exquisite. This jade sword is worth at least tens of millions of primordial stones or even more. 100,000 primordial stones for tens of millions of primordial stones. Looking at the jade sword, many people's eyes lit up. Ah! The big man quickly put away the jade sword and left. It's only 100,000 origin stones. Let's take a gamble. If we get it, it'll be worth it. Yes, let's take a gamble. At this moment, many people were moved. They walked onto the plaza and began to carefully sense it. Then they each chose a piece of the ruins of God ancient mine. Of course, every piece of ancient mine of the ruins of God had to pay 100,000 origin stones. Soon more than 10 people had chosen the ancient ores. A smile appeared on Mu Ju's face. Cut it open and see. Someone shouted. Immediately, those who had chosen the ancient ores began to cut them open one by one. Unfortunately, none of the dozens of people present found any treasures. How unlucky. I wasted 100,000 origin stones. Damn it, if others can choose I can too. Damn it again. Some people were ruthless and picked a few pieces in a row but they found nothing. That big man is most likely a drag. Lu Ming and the others were mixed in the crowd. At this moment, Lu Ming said with a smile. Xian Yinqing and Long Qin nodded. At the beginning, those big men were most likely cooperating with the Mu family to put on a show to provoke others to go up and pick the ancient ores. In a few moments, dozens of ancient ores were sold and millions of origin stones were earned. It was completely a free profit. Gradually, fewer people went up, but there were still people who went up from time to time to try their luck. In the end, they came up empty-handed. Dandan, you can sense the treasures in these ancient ores. Are there really treasures in these thousands of ancient ores? Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Dandan. Yes, but there are very few of them. Only a few of them have good things. Do you want them? I can pick them out one by one. Dandan said. Of course I want them. Only a fool would not want the treasures. Moreover, they belong to the Mu family. Lu Ming smiled and stepped into the square. Mu Ju was originally sitting lazily on a chair. His mind was filled with thoughts of how to show his prowess in the Heavenly God Sect's disciple selection. How to be chosen by the Heavenly God Sect and enter the Heavenly God Sect of Yuanlu to cultivate. From then on, he would soar to the 9 heavens and break through to the Martial Emperor realm or even the Sage realm. Just as he was dreaming, he suddenly saw a familiar figure walking into the square. Mu Ju's eyes suddenly widened. His body trembled and he jumped up from the chair. Lu Ming, you're still alive? How is that possible? Mu Ju shouted in disbelief. He was truly in disbelief. Didn't Lu Ming enter the core of the ruins of God? Moreover, he had been in the core of the ruins of God for more than half a month. Even an Emperor Realm expert would not be able to come out after such a long time. Now Lu Ming actually swaggered in front of him. How could he not be shocked? Then he looked around. As expected, he found Xian Yinqing and Long Qin in the crowd. This made him even more shocked. What's wrong? Young Master Mu, what's so strange about me being alive? Lu Ming asked with a cold smile. Nothing. After a long while, Mu Ju finally calmed down. His face was extremely gloomy. Damn it, why aren't these guys dead yet? Damn it, I must find a chance to kill them. Otherwise, I won't be able to get rid of the hatred in my heart. Mu Ju thought to himself. His killing intent was extremely strong. I want to gamble a few rounds. Young Master Mu, do you not welcome me? Lu Ming asked with a faint smile. My Mu family is open to business. Anyone who wants to gamble on stones is welcome. You can choose as you wish. Mu Ju said. After saying that, he sat back down on his chair with a gloomy face. He was thinking about some conspiracy in his heart. Lu Ming smiled and casually strolled around the many ancient mines of the ruins of God. After a while, he casually pointed at an ancient mine and said, This one. Picking up this ancient mine of the ruins of God, Lu Ming paid 100,000 ores. Cut it open and take a look. Someone shouted. All right, then I'll cut it open and take a look. Lu Ming smiled. His true essence was like a knife, cutting the ancient mine of the ruins of God into 2 halves. Suddenly, a golden light spread out from the ancient mine of the ruins of God. A treasure has appeared, another treasure has appeared. Someone exclaimed. Mu Ju also suddenly stood up from his chair. His eyes were wide open. Lu Ming had actually chosen an ancient mine of the ruins of God with a treasure. Many people opened their eyes wide, wanting to see what kind of treasure it was. Earth Emperor Spirit, it's actually an Earth Emperor Spirit. Chapter 12:24. It was a block-shaped object that looked like a tree root. Its entire body was golden like gold, but it emitted a strong medicinal fragrance. Earth Emperor Essence, one of the main spiritual materials to refine Nirvana pill. Lu Ming never thought that he would find it in a piece of God Ruin's ancient mine. How could Lu Ming not be happy? After obtaining this piece of Earth Emperor Essence, he only lacked one of the 7 main materials to refine Nirvana pill. As long as he gathered the 7 main materials, the other auxiliary materials would be easy to find. At that time he could start refining Nirvana pill. That's Earth Emperor Essence. It's really a piece of Earth Emperor Essence. It's really a big profit. A piece of Earth Emperor Essence is worth tens of millions of ores. His luck is too good. It's just the first piece and he already found a treasure. Around the square, there were people who recognized the Earth Emperor Essence and exclaimed in envy. Damn it, this Lu Ming, how can his luck be so good? He actually found a treasure. Mu Ju's face was gloomy and his eyes were cold. He was very clear in his heart that each piece of God Ruin's ancient mine was carefully examined by the Mu family's experts. As long as there was a possibility of a treasure being found, the Mu family would keep it. There were thousands of pieces of God Ruin's ancient mine here. There might be some that slipped through the net and might contain treasures, but there were very few of them. Thousands of pieces added together, there might not be many pieces. But Lu Ming had found a piece that was worth tens of millions of ores. Mu Ju felt a little heartache. He had just sold dozens of pieces of God Ruin's ancient mine and only earned a few million ores. Lu Ming happily took out a jade box and carefully put away the Earth Emperor essence. Then, his eyes lit up as he glanced at the other God Ruin's ancient mine. At the same time he laughed, my luck is really good today. It seems that I have to choose another one. After saying that, he wandered around the pile of ancient mines. You're just lucky. Choose, I don't believe you can find another one. Mu Ju thought in his heart. Lu Ming wandered for a while and casually grabbed an ancient mine saying, "This is it." After grabbing it, he went to the Mu family and paid 100,000 ores. "Cut it open and see." Someone jeered. Just now, Lu Ming had obtained a treasure on the first piece. Many people were very curious and wanted to know if Lu Ming would be able to obtain a treasure on the second piece. Alright. Lu Ming smiled, condensed his true essence and started cutting. It's impossible for me to get another treasure this time. I was just lucky to get the first one. There are very few people who can get 2 treasures in a row. Someone said. But in the next moment his mouth fell open and he was dumbfounded. This was because the ancient ore in Lu Ming's hand was emitting a blinding crimson light. Many people were stunned and then a commotion broke out. Treasure, there's another treasure. He actually got a treasure twice in a row. How rare. This person's luck is too heaven-defying. 1 drop of blood essence. What a powerful blood essence. It's actually a drop of blood essence. Lu Ming himself was a little stunned. He carefully cut open the ancient ore and a drop of crystal clear blood essence like a blood gem appeared in Lu Ming's palm, exuding an incomparably rich blood essence. This was definitely an extremely powerful existence. After his death, his blood essence was coincidentally sealed in the ancient ore of God Ruins and passed down. Its value was immeasurable. If it was used to refine pills, it would bring out the energy in the blood essence. It would be of great help to a cultivator's cultivation. It's actually a drop of blood essence. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He was currently lacking blood essence to improve his bloodline. Lu Ming had a feeling that if he refined this drop of blood essence, his bloodline would be greatly improved. How can this be? Mu Ju's eyes widened, and he subconsciously crushed a purple jade teacup in his hand. Damn it! Mu Ju roared in his heart. The value of this drop of blood essence was even higher than the Earth Emperor essence. He felt that he had suffered a great loss. How good would it be if they cut it out themselves? Now that it had been chosen by someone else, and it was Lu Ming, Mu Ju gnashed his teeth in anger. Lu Ming laughed heartily. He took out a jade bottle and kept the drop of blood essence. He could not stop muttering, "Luck. I'm really lucky today. Let's continue." Lu Ming's gaze began to look around the ancient ore of God Ruins again. Mu Ju and the rest of the Mu family couldn't help but feel nervous. They were worried that Lu Ming would choose another ancient ore of God Ruins that contained treasures. Mu Ju wanted to stop Lu Ming from continuing to choose, but they were open to do business. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, what reason did they have to stop Lu Ming from continuing to choose? They could only hope that Lu Ming was just lucky the first 2 times, and that he wouldn't be able to choose anything later. This time Lu Ming was even faster. After taking a few casual glances, he chose an ancient mine and paid 100,000 primordial stones. Cut it open and take a look. Right, take a look. Many people shouted in excitement. Lu Ming had cut out treasures twice in a row. Would he be able to cut out treasures 3 times in a row? Mu Ju and the other members of the Mu family also stared with their eyes wide open. Impossible. There aren't that many treasures in all of the ancient ore of God Ruins here. Mu Ju kept praying in his heart. Crack. Lu Ming's true essence was like a blade as he began to cut. Chapter 12:25. No, impossible. Mu Ju's eyes almost popped out as he stared at Lu Ming and the semi-sage medicine in Lu Ming's hand. He couldn't wait to swallow the semi-sage medicine in one gulp. The expressions of the other members of the Mu family weren't any better. Pain in the flesh, heart, liver, and lungs. This was originally a treasure of their Mu family, but now, it had become someone else's, Lu Ming's. These carefully selected ancient mines of the ruins of God actually contained such a treasure. If they had known earlier, they would never have taken it out to sell. Semi-sage medicine. Danden's eyes lit up as he stared at the semi-sage medicine. His eyes lit up and his mouth began to drool. Give it to me, give it to me. Danden kept muttering. It's a waste to give it to you now. Keep it first and plant it in the mysterious yellow silicon soil later. When it recovers, its value will be great. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Danden and then carefully kept it. Although this semi-sage medicine had lost most of its spirituality, Lu Ming had a supreme treasure like the mysterious yellow silicon soil. He might be able to cultivate it again. The value of an intact semi-sage medicine was many times higher. After all, it had the word sage in it. I want to try too. So many treasures, it's amazing. The others' hearts were burning. Their eyes lit up as dozens of people went up to choose ancient mines of the ruins of God. Dozens of people carefully selected a piece and paid 100,000 origin stones each. However, it still didn't make Mu Ju and the other members of the Mu family feel better. Dozens of people only added up to a few million origin stones. It couldn't be compared to the treasures that Lu Ming had obtained. Lu Ming had obtained 3 treasures, each more precious than the other. They were worth at least tens of millions. Cut it open and let's see. A young woman hurriedly cut open the ancient mine she had chosen. Unfortunately, there was nothing inside. Then the others also cut it open, but there was nothing inside. In the end, out of the several dozen people, not a single one of them had any treasures. What's going on? We've picked dozens of pieces, but we can't even cut one. That Lu Ming picked one and hit one. The difference is too big. Someone sighed. Could it be that he can sense the situation inside the ancient mine of God? Otherwise, how could he choose one piece and hit the jackpot? Someone guessed. As soon as these words were spoken, many people were shocked. That's right, Lu Ming was able to be selected 3 times in a row. This was too shocking. If it was the first time, it was still possible. Even if it was the second time, it was still possible. Although the probability was very small, if it was the third time, the probability was simply too small. Lu Ming, it was extremely likely that he could sense the specific situation inside the ruins of God ancient mine. Everyone's eyes fell on Lu Ming. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled up into a smile, and his gaze swept across the ancient mine of God again. Lu Ming, that's enough. Suddenly Mu Ju opened his mouth, looking coldly at Lu Ming. Enough? Young Master Mu, I wonder what you mean by this? Lu Ming said indifferently. Today you have already cut out 3 treasures in a row, it's time to stop. Mu Ju said coldly. Stop? Ah, what a joke. Is this how you open the door to do business? Seeing that I have cut out a few more treasures, you don't let me cut it out. Then why didn't you stop others from cutting out treasures? Could it be that you can only earn and not lose when doing business? If that's the case, then there's no need for others to do business with your Mu family in the future. Lu Ming sneered and mocked. You're talking nonsense. Mu Ju shouted angrily. Oh, since I'm talking nonsense, then don't stop me. Lu Ming sneered, then strode forward, grabbed a piece of ancient mine of God ancient mine with one hand, and paid 100,000 origin stones. Cut it open and see. Many people shouted, their eyes burning with passion. Could it be that Lu Ming could really sense the treasures inside the ancient mine of God ancient mine? Then what treasures would he be able to cut out this time? Countless people were looking forward to it. Mu Ju's face was cold, but he didn't stop him. Swish, swish. Lu Ming's true essence was like a blade, and began to cut open the ancient mine. Gotcha. The ancient mine cracked open, but only one layer. Inside was still a piece of ancient mine of God ancient mine. It's actually 2 layers of ore. Someone said. Lu Ming was also curious and continued to cut. Soon, another layer was broken, but below, it was still yellow ore. Another layer. What's going on? It's actually 3 layers. Could it be that this is a waste mine and Lu Ming finally failed? It seems like he failed. It's impossible to cut out treasures every time. Some people discussed, while Mu Ju and the other members of the Mu family also let out a long sigh of relief. Danden, is there really a treasure inside? Lu Ming secretly sent a sound transmission to Danden. Of course, what kind of existence am I? How could I be wrong? Danden stretched out its head with a proud face. Lu Ming nodded and continued to cut. However, after breaking open a layer of ore, there was still a layer of ore below. Lu Ming continued to cut, and one after another, there were 7 layers of ore wrapped around the ore. Everyone was speechless. How could there be so many layers of ore wrapped around the ore? The other ancient mines only had 1 layer, and it was rare to see 2 layers. This time there were actually 7 layers. Now, it was only the size of an egg and it was basically impossible for there to be any treasures inside. However, Lu Ming's gaze was firm and he continued to cut. Gotcha. The ancient mine cracked open. This time, strands of red light seeped out from the ancient mine. At the same time, a terrifyingly high temperature seeped out from the ancient mine, causing the temperature of the entire square to rise rapidly. However, no one felt the heat. Everyone just looked at Lu Ming in a daze, looking at the egg-sized ancient mine in his hand. A treasure was cut out and another treasure was cut out. A treasure was cut out 4 times in a row. Everyone felt numb, but they instinctively thought that a treasure was cut out this time. Damn it, how is this possible? Damn it. Mu Ju roared in his heart and his eyes were bloodshot. Gotcha. Lu Ming used a little force and the ancient mine completely cracked open. A red stone the size of a longan was revealed. The red light spread out, and a terrifying heat wave swept in all directions, causing the temperature of the square to rise by a few thousand degrees. It's so hot, too hot. What kind of treasure is this? It looks like a small sun. Many people had to circulate their true essence to resist the terrifying heat. Oh my God, is this the Divine Sunstone? Someone exclaimed, full of disbelief. Divine Sunstone, yes, this is the Divine Sunstone. Legend has it that it can only be born in the core of the sun. I've read about it in ancient books. Oh my God, it can't be, is this really the Divine Sunstone? A supreme treasure. Chapter 12:26. It's actually a piece of Divine Sunstone. Even Lu Ming himself was somewhat dumbfounded. He was very shocked. Legend has it that the Divine Sunstone was born from the core of the sun. It would take countless years for one to be born. Its value was immeasurable. If used properly, it could unleash terrifying power. Lu Ming never thought that he would find such a treasure in the ancient mine of God. How is it? Kid, I said there's a treasure. Why would I lie to you? Why would I make an error in judgment? Dandan was immensely proud of herself, looking as if she was about to ascend to the heavens. In the crowd, Xian Yinqing revealed a smile while Long Chen was a little stunned. He realized that he couldn't see through Lu Ming anymore. Divine Sunstone, it's actually a piece of Divine Sunstone. Mu Ju's eyes widened in disbelief as he muttered in a daze. After a while, his eyes emitted blazing flames. Lu Ming, quickly hand over the Divine Sunstone to me. Mu Ju shouted, attracting everyone's attention. Lu Ming waved his hand and kept the Divine Sunstone into the mountain river diagram. Then he looked at Mu Ju as if he was looking at an idiot. Hand it over to you? This is mine. You want me to hand it over to you? You want to buy it from me? Sorry, I'm not selling it. Lu Ming said indifferently. What do you mean it's yours? This is clearly my Mu family's treasure. You dare to take my Mu family's treasure? Quickly hand it over. Mu Ju shouted. His eyes were blazing. What an idiot. Your Mu family? Just now it was yours. But now that I bought it, it's mine. Do you think so many people are blind? Can't they see it? Lu Ming mocked. Ridiculous. I just said enough. I told you not to pick any more stones. I haven't agreed to let you pick any more stones. You're the one who wants to pick. This Divine Sunstone naturally belongs to my Mu family. Mu Ju quibbled. Then why are you still accepting my 100,000 origin stones? Since you've taken my origin stones, this is mine. Lu Ming sneered. I don't care. I didn't agree. Hurry up and hand over the Divine Sunstone. You can't swallow such a treasure. Mu Ju shouted. His voice was cold, revealing a strong sense of threat. Haha, laughable, truly laughable. You've taken out so many ancient ores of the ruins of God for people to gamble on. Furthermore, each piece is sold for a high price of 100,000 origin stones. Now that you've seen someone else take out a treasure, you want to act shamelessly and force them to hand it over to you. Alright, I'll hand it over to you. How many people have spent their money on useless ores in the stone gambling convention that your Mu clan has held for so many years? Spit out all the money. If you spit it out, I'll hand it over to you. Lu Ming sneered. Mu Ju was speechless, his face flushed red. How many years has it been since the Mu family held this stone gambling event? It was impossible to calculate. This time, the Mu clan's stone gambling conference was completely ruined. Lu Ming took out 4 treasures. Moreover, no one would buy them anymore. With so many ancient mines in the ancient mine of God, the loss was disastrous. Lu Ming must die. Damn it, I must find a way to kill him. Mu Ju roared crazily in his heart. Lu Ming's mood was the opposite of his. He was very happy. The 4 treasures were each more precious than the last. Especially the Divine Sunstone at the end, it was simply a priceless treasure. They spent a total of 400,000 origin stones to get 4 such precious treasures. They made a big profit. Soon, the 3 of them returned to the General's Peak. When they arrived at the General's Peak, Xian Yinqing's eyes looked forward. In front of them, Xian Yinjuan was wearing a snow-white robe. She was like a fairy from the 9th heaven who had descended to the mortal world. Beside Xian Yinjuan there was a young man in white. He was extraordinarily handsome. He was the kind of person who would attract everyone's attention when he stood in the crowd. He was born high and mighty and everyone looked up to him. This was an extraordinary hero. Because with just a glance, Lu Ming felt a strong pressure from this person. It was a dangerous pressure. Xian Yinjuan looked at Xian Yanqing and Lu Ming. He snorted with slight disdain and hostility. That girl is your sister? The white-robed man looked at Xian Yanqing and asked Xian Yinjuan. He was a little surprised. Just a weirdo. Don't bother about him, Xian Yinjuan said. Then he left the General's Peak with the white-robed man. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.